Roran stood at the prow of the Dragonwing and listened to the oars swish through the water. Book 2, Eldest. Chapter 68, Convergence. Chapter 69, Eldest. Chapter 70, Inheritance. And Chapter 71, Reunion.
Welcome to Eragon and Back Again, a podcast where we explore Christopher Paolini's inheritance cycle chapter by chapter. I'm Lucy Hart.
And I'm Darien Smart.
And today we are joined by Diego from the Tears of Fire podcast. Say hello.
Yay, Diego's back!
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be back in the land of Allegatia. This flight over has been pretty eventful. Thank you for having me.
Especially right now. Yeah,
Yes.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
Listen.
Super excited to get into this.
We had Diego just in time for those first batch of Roran chapters, and we
Yes.
said we were going to have you come back. Well, we didn't say this on the episode because that would have been spoilers, but we were going to have you come back for Roran's big finale for the
Yes.
book. And here we are.
Yep.
Yeah, I was a little sad when I was reading these chapters that, the last official Roran chapter was kind of small, and we did get the reunion of Eragon and Roran together, but then not too much happened, and then his big events or his big actions at the end of this book were from Eragon's point of view, which I found interesting.
Mhm.
Yep. But before we get into all of that, Lucy, Diego, do you have a spark of inspiration?
Diego, you can go first.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm going to bring it back to my original spark of inspiration. I've been kind of talking about sparks of inspiration on my own as well, but Miss Kaylee, the girl that has been doing some of her own streaming, she actually wrote her first book. She
That's
is
awesome.
Oh,
into-
that's so good.
Yeah, and it's been pretty big. I started writing my own as well, but she's the one that inspired me to get into it. She's got a standalone, I would call it horror/thriller. And
Ooh.
then I've got 5 chapters into my own, which I'm sticking more with the fantasy because that's what I am used to. But yeah, she's been by my side and kind of proofreading, and she's in the LGBT group, and so she's kind of helping me be my proofreader and making sure, or sensitivity reader. I don't know how you'd say
Yes.
that, but kind of just proofreading it and making sure that I'm staying well within my bounds.
That's awesome. That's really thoughtful and foresight of you as the writer to be
Yeah.
aware of those kind of things. Well on you, Diego.
Yeah, and also just congrats getting
Also,
5
congratulations.
chapters, too.
Yeah, 5
that's
chapters is
amazing.
nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Keep
I
going
appreciate
strong.
it. It's been tough. It's been interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lucy, do you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go. It's
Okay.
not necessarily I can't remember if I talked about this. I don't think I did. It's not necessarily a spark of inspiration, but it is like a geode where when you're randomly doing something and you think of something and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's a really good plot line for my book." That's what I had.
It's like a lightning strike of inspiration.
Literally. And so it was like I maybe not want to talk about it too much cuz spoilers, but I figured out a way cuz I wanted my character in brief, main character starts away from her home. It's a weird thing. At her job, home, whatever it is, this castle, and it starts off away, and then part of the beginning of the book is her going back to the castle. And then I was thinking, I'm like, I kind of want her to leave again because that'll allow me to not only world explore, but also just spend more time with this character and how she interacts with the world and stuff. But I'm like, how would I get her to leave without it being really weird? And then why would she come back to the castle to leave again later on? And then I kind of thought about it and I was like, oh, I got it. Because she basically runs away, coming to something forces her to come face to face with this hard truth, and she goes, I'm leaving. And so she leaves,
Hey.
but then somebody's like, oh no, we have to come back because of this reason. She's like, fuck. And so then she has to go back and then has to leave again for a mission, and which wouldn't be very long. I don't think the time when she leaves again wouldn't be too very long. So I was kind of very excited that I was like, ooh,
Nice.
yes, that makes sense in my head, and I'm very happy with that.
I love that.
Yes, thank you. What about you, Darien?
I made myself a little depressed recently.
Oh no.
Because I on audiobook binged Jennifer Saint's mythology retellings.
Yes.
The first 3 that she has are Ariadne, which is a story of Ariadne, daughter of Minos of the Labyrinth and the Minotaur, and
Mhm.
she becomes Dionysus' wife.
Mhm.
And there is the next one I read, which was Electra, which is
Mhm.
about Electra, daughter of Agamemnon and Clemestra, but also the story was about the Trojan War as a whole,
Yeah.
told through the point of view of Electra, her mother Clemestra, and also Cassandra, priestess of Troy.
Mhm.
And then I listened to Atalanta, who is the one woman who joined the Argonauts. She was a favorite of Artemis, the greatest hunter, fastest woman in the world. And these were all excellent because women in mythology have a long history of not being characters
Mhm.
and just being objects for the gods and heroes to use and abuse. And so Jennifer Saint does a wonderful job of making these figures from myths like full characters, fully realized creations, and with deep and complex internal worlds. And what that means is that I still am reading stories about women suffering.
Mhm.
Is the bummer, because she's not. This isn't a B. Fitzgerald book where B.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna tell the myth, but we are gonna take a big swing. No. My sapphics get to live happily ever after. Fuck that noise. Which is fine. They're both setting out to do two different things, and I will not say one is better than the other.
Mhm.
Nor will I say that what Jennifer Saint does isn't good, because it's
Yeah.
incredible writing. And even when you're reading about these women suffering, it is not written to be exciting for the reader, right? It's not written to be glorified, or it's not even explicit, the suffering that these women experience. You just are aware it's there. The rest of the stories. So those are great. And the reason I got depressed is like, why am I feeling so sad about the world? Like, oh, because I just listened to Cassandra suffer. That was great. But they are great, and they are kick-ass mythology retellings. If you are a fan of Madeleine Miller, specifically if you're a fan of Circe, these are absolutely
Circe's
in
good.
that vein. But it's specifically wanting Shadow's Spark of Inspiration because it has given me the absolute delusion, audacity to think I could do that, but about Hestia.
Okay.
I could write an explicitly arrow ace narrative about the goddess of home and hearth, Hestia, my favorite Greek goddess.
Yeah.
Will I? The idea is actually terrifying. Actually, here's the thing, I'll get vulnerable for a second. I'd really love to, but the idea scares the hell out of me. And I don't know where that is. So I'm just sharing that, getting a little vulnerable in the creativity podcast for a moment. But yeah, it has absolutely given me the absolute red flag audacity to think I could do that too. I could write an arrow ace. Because I also was like, I really liked Atalanta. But like when she goes on her adventure, Artemis is like, okay, one rule. Don't get married, can't, no guys. And Atlanta's like, yeah, no problem. And of course she like hooks up with one of the Argonauts, like the one cool dude. And I'm not blaming her. Like he seemed really cool. They got on great. But I'm also a little bit like Atalanta's skill issue. Like for a guy. So I'm like, I'm over here being ace and sapphic and Atalanta's not. So who am I to judge? But maybe I'd love to have a little bit more ace, a little bit of arrow rep in the goddess who's explicitly described as being the one deity that Aphrodite had no power over. So I don't know. Would y'all read that? Someone tell me
would.
if you'd read that.
I would. That sounds super interesting. Absolutely.
Well, Lucy, you're my best friend. You'd read anything I'd write.
I definitely read it. Most of my mythology
Thanks,
knowledge comes
Diego.
from the Percy Jackson series, so I've been reaching out recently. One of my friends just got me the Song of Achilles. So I'm going to be going
Madeleine
through
Miller's
that
Song
for
of
the first time.
Achilles. You will cry.
That's
You
what
think
I've heard.
you won't, but you will.
So we're branching out a little bit, but that definitely sounds something that I would take an interest in.
Yeah, here's the thing. I have a Percy Jackson podcast, so obviously I really respect and appreciate Rick Riordan's work. However, I'm prepared to fight that man over his portrayal of Hestia. What do you mean she doesn't fight because she's just goddess of the hearth? Fuck you! Richard, it's on site about what you did to Hestia. I need her to... Why hasn't she shown back up yet? Where is she at? You've done some rewrites on like Aphrodite and Artemis. You've made more complex goddesses. Give me a proper Hestia. You know what? Actually, give me the Infinity Gauntlet. I'll do it myself.
There you go.
Let's talk about Eragon.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, getting into it for real. Hey, we have 38 pages left.
I know, that's crazy.
Yep. I mean, obviously different formatting is going to have different page counts, but at the version that Lucy and I have at the start of Convergence, literally less than 48 pages. We are at the end. It is wrapping up.
I love how, since we got cameras on, we can see the weathered
Yeah.
versions that we have.
Yeah,
And
the
mine's
book!
well loved too.
Oh, weird. We're 38 pages from the end and we still haven't met this red dragon. Crazy. Okay.
Right.
We're about to.
Convergence. The Dragon Wing arrives at the Burning Plains, where Roran is faced with irrefutable evidence that Eragon, his cousin, is a writer. For this episode, we're gonna we are breaking a rule we said we set up in the first time we had POV shifts, was that we were not going to do multiple POV shifts in a single episode of the podcast. But it's literally one chapter.
Yeah.
And it's so short. And it felt so weird to ask Diego to come on to record for maybe 20 minutes because it's exciting, but like... So we're like, no, we're going to finish it here.
We're just going to do
go.
all of it. Let's go.
Let's do all of it. But hey. And I'll read the rest of the chapter. So we're going to divide the POVs just a little bit. We're going to talk about this one, and then I'll read the rest of the chapter summary. So, hey, it's Roran. He
Roran
did it
again.
He succeeded in his quest. He got the village of Carvajal to the Varden in Serta.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's super cool.
One thing I really liked about this was I think Paulini does a good job about writing, I wouldn't say just emotions, but the way that you would feel physically as well through all this. You know, when Roran's first coming up and he said he's just got done rowing, so he feels that strain on his body, and they're coming up to the battle. They can hear all the clanking of swords and armor going around, and there's this great big beast that they're not quite sure where it's at or what it is yet. And I could just, maybe that's me and my own thing, wanting to be part of a fantasy world and being into Lord of the Rings. And I don't know if you guys have read Eon and Eona. It's a 2-book series it's actually pretty good. It's more about the anyway, it's pretty good. You guys should look into it. But I could just fully immerse myself into this feeling of, being on the waterway coming up to this battle. I thought it was really well written to put us in the setting of arriving to a battle that was already started.
Yep, I agree.
And I love the description of like the roars of some great beast. Because we know that's Saphira. We know there's a dragon.
Yep.
Roran doesn't know that.
No idea. I will say, like, one of my criticisms in this, like, beginning of the thing is that they talk about how they kind of do like a little backstory with Roran, like how they got to this point exactly. It's like after the Boar's Eye, they had sailed east from the southern isles back to the coast and then up the mouth of the Geode River to Serta's port city of Daruth. And then Roran says like he had every intention, but then they heard about the Galbatorix army and the Varden clashing, and he's like, okay, the Varden cannot be defeated because if that happens, I would never see Katrina again. So with the help of Geode, he convinced Horst and many of the other villagers that if they wanted to live in Serta, safe from the Empire, they would had to row up the Geode River and assist the Varden. And that included pregnant Elaine?
That was going to be one of the things I brought up too, yeah.
No one's going to tell Elaine she can't come.
And that's the thing too. I'm like, that's also, if Horst is going, she is absolutely going. I was just like, holy cow. But then like later, and then we can get into that later in the book too, they keep saying, oh, we have the whole village in the ship. And I'm like, but no, you don't. It's
that's
weird.
a good point.
I'm very nitpicky with that. Cause like later on, Eragon's like, did you bring the whole village? And he goes, most of them. And then later on, they're like, oh no, we have the whole village on the ship. And I'm like, you just 3 contradictions there, Chris.
Well,
like, okay.
I think when Roran says most of them to Eragon later, he's referring to the people that didn't come from Carvajal. Like there were a couple that chose not to come. I think that's what he means when he says I brought most of the village.
Yeah.
But this one he convinces that many of the villagers. But I can also, but they're children. Here's what I can see though, that the people of Carvajal have become such a core like vibe.
And that too, yeah.
That if Roran was able to convince Horst and like the core council, basically, right? The group that's always together
Horst
when they're making these decisions.
Yep, absolutely.
Then what? Is everyone gonna say, oh yeah, that's fine? Like, are you just gonna leave your wives? No. The wives are gonna be like, I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
Because like, what do you mean I'm gonna stay in Serta? What if you die? Like, fuck it. We're all here. If you die, no, I can see it actually being everybody because it's been everybody the whole time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even poking holes, like, in what I was saying earlier is, like, I agree with that in that, like, we've already been through hell and back. This isn't gonna be any worse or better than what we've already been through. So we're coming. I can definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
It also adds numbers,
Yeah.
even with Elaine being pregnant, she could hold up on one of the ballistas and start shooting from afar. So,
Yeah.
I like
She is very capable, absolutely.
there are
Mm-hmm.
definitely things to be done, but I agree that maybe some of the more vulnerable people could have at least been like when we get later into the chapters, Eragon is telling, I forget who he tells, but he says, "Hey, go tell him to park the boat down the river where they can't be part of the fight."
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't we drop off some of the more vulnerable people on the ship down there as well, and then let the people that want to fight come and fight? Because at least they're still within the vicinity. But yeah, numbers are needed, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I Roran says the craziest shit. Can we just
He
talk
does.
about that?
Yeah, he
Like,
really does.
when they hear like the sounds of the fight, they're getting closer. Elaine is like, "What is that?" Roran strained his ears and caught a faint sound of metal striking metal. "That," he said, "is the sound of our destiny." That's like folk hero shit. Like,
Yeah, right?
you don't get to say that if you're just like a guy. If you're just a farmer, you don't even think to say stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Roran is a folk hero, and he gets to say stuff like that is the sound of our destiny. And it's dead serious, no cringe. And everyone's like, "Yeah,
cringe.
you're right, Roran. That is the sound of our destiny."
Yep.
That's what I was gonna say. Most one-liners are pretty cheesy unless you have the gravity to say it. And luckily, throughout this book, Roran has been able to build that gravity.
Yeah.
But most of the time, they're pretty cheesy. So he did a good job
He
of
did a
making
good
sure
job, yeah.
Roran earned it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's also like not even like Roran isn't even saying, and I would argue this. Roran isn't even saying this for other people's benefit. Like he's not saying like these lines to put on the facade. That's truly
Yeah.
just what he thinks in his head. Because
absolutely.
later on, he's having this thing about like they can't tell like who's the Empire, who's the Varden. It was apparent to Roran that the battle could tip in either direction given the right nudge. We can provide that nudge. That's his internal dialogue. He thinks that. That's the way.
Yep.
That is the way his brain is like now. He is just. This is how he is now.
Yep.
He had to be. He had to rally a village from the top of the continent to get them all the way down here.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that is insane. But no,
sorry.
sorry, Diego. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. But what I was going to say is, and I hate jumping forward and stuff, but what I love about that is Roran does have that mindset without even knowing that the dwarves are on their way later on.
Yeah.
He can push it even more. He believes that he himself, I mean, mostly with the numbers that he's bringing, can tip the battle, but he himself is going to have a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah.
Roran has had to become the kind of person who has to truly, genuinely believes he can accomplish anything he sets his mind to because he wants to do the most impossible thing. He decided he was going to get his village safely to Serta and the Varden and then get the Varden to help him rescue Katrina. Like, that is an impossible thing that Roran had to 100% convince himself he was capable of to convince other people it could happen. And now that's just the way he is.
Yep.
He has completely and utterly earned that confidence.
Yeah, literally, he super has. I was gonna say what I really like is like the line that follows that is from the ship. They hear a voice echoed over the water as a man shouted, a ship is coming up the Geode River," and we see that line too in the chapter previous with Eragon. So me personally, I'm like, it gives me a little like, ha ha ha, that's cute. I like that. It just a little tie in there.
The time
we
is
know what's
coming into sync.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of what's coming, Lucy, you'd read this chapter before I had gotten a chance to it. And so the other day you were telling me like, this is so good.
I like this. It's a comparison because what I was saying is it is a comparison between when Eragon and Saphira first met Oramis and Glader, in that they're like talking about like Elaine goes down. He's like, you should go below decks. And she runs down and then her husband comes up. And then he gives Roran a shield and he goes, thought you might need that. And Roran's like, thanks, and he's interrupted by a thud. And we are like, oh, we know what that is. Because not only we heard it before with the Eragon meeting Glader for the first time. And I just want to read the whole thing because it's so cool.
Please.
Roran stopped as the air around them vibrated as if from a mighty concussion. Thud. His teeth jarred together. Thud. His ears hurt from the pressure. Close upon the heels of the second impact came a third. Thud. and with it a raw-throated yell that Roran recognized, for he had heard it many times in his childhood. He looked up and beheld a gigantic sapphire dragon diving out of the shifting clouds, and on the dragon's back, at the juncture between its neck and shoulders, sat his cousin, Eragon. And
I'm
it's just go
tearing
ahead.
up.
I know! It's such a good, like, reunion, but it's also heartbreaking. And I
Yeah.
love, like, oh, go ahead.
Well, it's the raw-throated yell that Roran recognized, for he had heard it many times in his childhood. Like, I don't know, man. That's his brother.
Yeah.
That's his cousin. It's
Yep.
Eragon. They've been apart
Yeah.
for so long. And also, we just saw that point of view from Eragon, right? Like
Yes.
then him going into battle, the fierce battle cry. And meanwhile, his cousin's like, you've been doing this since you were 5.
Yeah, literally.
Like, it's
literally.
so wonderful. But it's also
Yeah.
so fucking funny.
Yeah. It's a little bit of both, because you're like, oh, I bet like when they were fighting, or Eragon just gave that yell, like when they were just fighting or whatever.
Or like playing in the woods.
Yeah,
Playing
or something.
pretend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I read that first time, it brought me back to, so the way I was actually introduced to Eragon was the movie way back when. And as inaccurate as the movie is, I do remember where they open up with Roran and Eragon sword fighting with wooden sticks out in the barn.
It's like one sequence I will give that movie for being actually a pretty good sequence.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's got
and that's
3
one
that
of
are pretty
those-
good, and that's one of them.
Yes.
I like the movie. You know, it's my little guilty pleasure. But
Aw, that's okay,
that's-
Diego. Thank you for being
Yeah.
vulnerable here.
Yeah, absolutely.
but that's what it
We
brought me
hate that
to.
movie, and actually was just on somebody else's podcast talking about it. That episode's
Yeah,
not out
it's-
yet. We'll tell y'all when it is.
It's tough. It's a lot like the Percy Jackson movies, where you know they're a rough watch. I was introduced to the books first on those ones, so I got lucky there. But yeah, that's what it brought me to, was with Roran. It just being brought back to his childhood. I'm sure he had memories
Yeah.
flash, like you guys
Yeah.
were saying, back to that, and that's the movie sequence that popped into my mind.
Yep.
No, it's pretty
very
good.
cool.
And I love the next paragraph where it is Roran seeing Eragon for the first time since he left to go work at the mill, thinking, I'll be back in like a year with money to marry my girl and build my farm.
Yeah.
And then now we are sailing into battle between the Varden and the Empire. And here is my cousin on the back of a dragon.
Yep.
And this is the first time we have gotten Eragon being described post his transformation by someone else's point of view. Actually, it's the first time we've ever gotten Eragon being described in somebody else's point of view.
Yeah.
Right? Because all the other point of views we've had in this book, they haven't been with Eragon. We have people thinking about Eragon, but no one describing what it's like to look at Eragon. And so like the features being like more noble and feline, as if like an artist had taken his cousin's base features and enhanced them. He's like dressed in fine clothing like a prince. He has like a blade of iridescent red. This Eragon Roran knew could kill without hesitation. This Eragon was powerful and implacable. This Eragon could slay the Razak and their mounts and help him to rescue Katrina. Because that's always what it comes back around for Roran. Like, he's like, this man is set on his goal. And he is literally seeing his cousin and being like, yes, okay, you will help me. And you can. Because if he had that before, he's like, I'm going to make Eragon help me. And I think this is the first time he's like, oh shit, he can actually help me.
Yep, absolutely.
Because even after Geode has told him the story about everything Eragon has been through, Roran's still picturing his cousin as he was when he left the farm.
Yes.
Like, even knowing that's different, right? It's like one of my brothers, his roommate for a while was a kid who is the younger brother of one of my best friends from high school. And even though it's been 15 years since I saw that kid, and I understand people grow up, I was still picturing him, whenever he'd mentioned his roommate, I was still picturing that kid I saw when he was 12. And so when I go to my brother's house and this grown man walks in, I'm shook.
Yep.
That's what I was gonna say. Is even though it's been so long and Eragon had his transformation during the festival and the celebration back in Elsmera, Roran has spent enough time with him to recognize Eragon, and I know he's heard the stories, and Geode had told him that he's the writer, but you know, with how much Eragon has changed, I would think that most of the villagers wouldn't have recognized him without them being told that he is the new rider, and obviously there's only going to be one as of right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Roran spent so much time that it was easy for him to recognize the basic features of Eragon. I thought that was good too.
Yeah. And I like that this is the moment that he's like, he hadn't really believed it until this moment. He's like,
Yep.
Eragon is a writer.
Yep.
And then those few seconds, Roran knew not whether he loved or hated Eragon, which is, this whole sequence of chapters is everyone having complicated feelings.
Yeah, and I was like, I love that too, because I'm like, that's super valid. Like, he's super, super valid in feeling that. And and it must like tear him up too, just like all those emotions just like clashing together, and I just feel for him so much.
Yep. And then we get Roran, Eragon, thank God, also clocks that his cousin's on the boat.
Yes, because he was
good.
going to destroy the ship.
Yeah, he's gonna go And so when Eragon realizes it's Roran, he immediately reaches out to him as he would do, because he can do that now.
Yep.
He's got that great skill. And I find it so interesting that it's described from Roran's perspective. He stiffened with alarm as a vast and alien being touched his mind. From that consciousness emanated Eragon's voice. Because Eragon communicated in the same way with Brahm.
Mm-hmm.
And though it was a weird and unfamiliar experience, it was not just the sense of Brahm's mind was not described as vast and alien, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if it's because Eragon has communicated with Saphira so many times, so he knows what it is different minds feel like, or if it's because, just because like Roran's never experienced this before, so anything would be vast and alien. But I am taking it to interpret that Eragon's mental landscape is so different now.
Yeah.
That if someone else had reached out for Roran, he would have been startled by the presence. But I'm wondering if it wouldn't have been vast and alien if like Brahm was alive and had mentally connected to Roran.
Has Roran not in? Forgive me, I didn't read the entire book to catch back up. Just these couple.
I can't believe you.
But...
No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
wow,
no.
You're coming on a podcast and not reading the whole book before
the
the
whole
chapters.
Giant book.
Wow, Diego, who would do such a thing? Who would? This is a self-owned, dear listeners. If you don't also listen to Tears of Fire, I want to be so clear right now.
But has Roran not come across any spellcasters? I can't remember in his travels. It would be hard to believe that there's no fights where any spellcasters have been, even if they're weaker ones.
There were spellcasters when he's been on the ship. They were chased by ships from the Empire, and they know they had spellcasters on the ships because the way the arrows were being shot was supernatural. Like, the arrows could not fly, and also one burst into flame at one point in time. So obviously there's magicians. But Roran has never had anybody try to mentally communicate with him like this.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. I just think it's crazy for him traveling mostly through and across all of Allegatia that he hasn't run into this circumstance yet.
But I wonder if that's meant to demonstrate that this is so rare.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
not
true.
everybody has magic. Like, we have happened. I think we've maybe met everybody on the goddamn continent who can do magic. Because we've been running with Eragon.
Yep.
But, like, in your everyday life, like, even if you're, like, Roran, who's traveling across Allegasia, like, you're not likely to run into magic users. And I wonder if that is because it's so atypical, as I said, or if it's actually because if you can do magic, Galbatorix has grabbed you. Like, you've either run away to the Varden, which is what Eragon thinks about, actually, when he's with the dude, our magic club. Thank you. He thinks about how a lot of them had tried to join to avoid, like, Galbatorix and the Empire finding out they could do magic. So it could be that maybe once upon a time, in the time of the writers, it wasn't uncommon to stumble upon someone who could just kind of do magic. And that since Galbatorix has been around, he's going to yoink anybody who can.
Yeah. Force them into service. One of the things I want to point out here too is that they kind of mention this too, where a majority of the folks like don't realize they're being like their Eragon touches their mind, like when he's first coming into the Varden and he's observing everybody, and like there's a lot of people that don't notice, but then the ones who do are magically inclined, like those of Dervingagata, and Roran senses it. He feels when Eragon touches him mentally. And I'm like, that is so interesting that it's just kind of showing that Roran can be magically inclined. Maybe
Mhm.
if Roran had been presented with an egg, maybe he would also become a writer. Who
It would have
knows?
hatched him.
That would be really cool.
I like that as a take. For me, I interpret it as Eragon. Roran is so certain of who he is. Like, as I said earlier, he has become the kind of person who is utterly convinced he can do anything. And to be that kind of person who, one, is actually genuinely believes they can do anything from their own, like, skill level, from his own self, because of the things he has accomplished, that I think he is so self-actualized that he can feel when it's not him. I think maybe the reason that other people don't recognize when another presence is in their mind is maybe because it's just not a thing they noticed, or their thoughts are just kind of so, not to say anyone's like stupid or not as self-actualized, but I think for Roran, just the way he is, I read it as he knows exactly who he is and what it's about, that anything that is not of him is going to get clocked immediately.
I like that a lot.
But yeah, Eragon, shocked. They have kind of a brief back and forth. Obviously, Eragon wants to ask like 100 questions, but there is literally no time. So he's just basically like, get out of here for a bit. We'll talk later. Like, ground the ship, go somewhere else, and we'll talk later. Like, stay out of danger. I've got to go.
Yep. And I do like it's like, Eragon, your cousin has changed quite a lot. He is not just gonna sit out on this. Sorry, bud.
Yeah. But Eragon also just remembers his cousin who was gonna go work at a mill so he could make some money, so he could come back and marry his girl and have a farm. Yep. Like, he's also in that.
Yep.
And also, of course, he wants to keep his loved ones safe.
Yep, absolutely.
And Roran's like, I can't think about Eragon right now. We have to fight. The Varden must defeat the Empire. And of course, Roran being Roran comes up with a plan. We're gonna use the balusters on the boat. Don't let it get boarded. Let's go. Okay. Okay, one more. Just one more. Just, they're gonna take off. And then, but they can see, like, Roran's gonna do something. And the horse is like, what do you intend to do, Roran?
Oh, yeah.
Do? Why, I intend to alter the fate of Allegasia. Folk hero shit! Who the fuck says that? Roran Garo's son says shit like that because he means it.
Yeah.
Eragon never says stuff like that.
No.
Eragon doesn't possess the self-confidence to say stuff like that. He has the skill. He possesses the responsibility. He recognizes that it is his duty to change the fate of Allegasia, but he's not out here saying he's gonna do that.
Yep.
Roran is the one who's gonna roll up on a battlefield and change the fate of a nation.
Yep, literally.
I think Roran
I love Roran so much!
Yes.
I think he needs that since he doesn't have the abilities and the dragon that Eragon does to have, those protections. He needs to have almost a stubbornness and a willing to put his life in danger with that confidence to put himself in these situations. It's admirable and a little scary too. I think if I was Roran's part of his crew, I wouldn't necessarily want to be next to the dude because that's where all the fighting's going to be.
Yeah,
that's
literally.
Such a good point, Diego. Absolutely. It's kind of terrifying. Because also, I wonder if it's like, I don't want to be next to Roran, because not only is that where the fighting is going to happen, this motherfucker's going to convince me to join.
Yeah, literally.
He's going to get me to get on board, and I'm also going to do it. Like, look at poor Uther standing here like, what are we doing? We're ground the ship? What?
Yeah, I love that Roran, who's like, again, farm boy, commands this like captain of the ship and says, do this. And the captain's like, all right. I'll do it.
Right,
I do really like that they're going to be just throwing these like spears, ballistae or whatever into, I'm like, they're going to join the fight too. And that is so cool. I am so on board for this.
Yeah, as Roran says, like, the Varden has to win.
Yeah.
Also, he wants to be ingratiated by the Varden, like to the Varden, right? So he also wants to prove that they are valuable.
Yep.
So he's like, we can't just like sit here on the sidelines and hope for the best. We need to be an active participant.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, now we go back to, shall we go back to Eragon?
Yep.
It's time.
Oh, okay.
It's
time, here it is.
Literally.
Eldest. With the dwarves' arrival, the tide of battle turns in the favor of the Varden. But ground gained is quickly lost when a rider appears on the back of a red dragon. The rider kills King Hrothgar And then Eragon and Saphira are engaged in their fiercest fight yet. But a big reveal throws everyone off their game.
Yep.
Murtagh's back.
Murtagh's back.
Hey, it's the red dragon from the cover of the book.
It's the red dragon.
And also Murtagh's back.
When I first read this book, I thought like, oh, I guess they're just going to put different dragons on the cover. Okay, that's okay. And then it was
That's
the
what
end
I
of the book.
thought.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's actually in the book. Okay.
Well, the crazy part is, like, pretty early on in the book, we do find another dragon, and he's gold. So
Yeah.
you're kind of a little bit like, why is the gold
Why
dragon
isn't it
not on the
gold?
cover? What?
Yep.
Yeah, like, how far? Hold on. Where are we at the end? We're at the end. So, like, I already made the comment about, yeah, we're, like, 38 pages from the end.
Yep.
And then the red dragon shows up at page 639. So now we are, like, 29 pages from the end of the book when the dragon on the cover shows up.
It finally shows up. Yep.
There had to have been conversations. Someone had to have been like, I don't even know. Like, it would almost be like, well, but we don't know about Gladier, so we don't want that to be like a reveal, a spoiler.
Yeah.
I would argue that this is a much bigger late in the game reveal than if we
Yeah.
were picking what dragon to put on the cover.
Yeah, when I was originally reading these, I always thought that Brisingar and Eldest covers should have been swapped because of that exact reason, since we met
Yeah.
Gladier so much earlier. But yeah, that threw me off too reading it. I thought maybe I was reading it out of order.
Yep, it's kind of it's. I'd be fascinated to know what conversations happened behind the scene to select the dragon on the cover.
Yeah.
Granted, like blue dragon, red dragon is really good for like a book 1 and 2 because the
Yeah.
color thing,
Yeah.
the color thing, red and blue, the color thing.
Yep.
But still,
And also just thinking about Saphira and the dragon fighting and
Oh.
the different colors too. And just
Yeah.
just very good.
I mean, that's really like there's a lot happens in the beginning of the chapter. Like we get Hrothgar being like, "We're here to fight," and everyone be like, "Hooray!" And then we get some
Yep.
fighting, and it's going great. And then the writer shows up and like with one spell kills the dwarven king.
Yep.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely
like, really
devastating.
brutal. And it's,
I mean,
it's like
it took
go
out
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say it took out all of his guard as well that were
Yeah.
spellcasters for the dwarves, and then he takes a second for him and he falls down, and it's a pretty gnarly scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was intimidated by the way that they described the dragon and the new rider coming out, where it's just the silhouette of this
Yeah.
monstrous being coming out and from behind the sun. That was, with not knowing that there's a new rider, I could only imagine the feeling of the Varden and their armies. It was almost like the verge of, I wouldn't want to say defeat, but just like utter,
Demoralizing?
yes, thank you,
Mhm.
thank you. Yeah, it's just demoralizing. Like, oh fuck.
I think it's also because like everyone kind of expected that Galbatorix might gonna probably sort of almost certainly show up to this fight, right?
Yep.
And so to have another writer show up and it is not Galbatorix,
Yeah.
that is devastating. Like
Yep.
that is oh no. How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
And we almost don't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the chapter, we don't know it's Murtagh, right? Like
Yes.
it is a really cool fight. The two dragons swooping back and forth, going
And I
after each other.
And when I was gonna say when they first come together and they're like that Saphira launched herself towards the red dragon, pumping her wings at a furious rate to gain the necessary speed. And Eragon's like, I hope you remember your lessons with Glader. And she doesn't respond, but instead screams at this other dragon, traitor, Edbreaker, Oathbreaker, murderer. And then they just clash together. And I'm like, oh,
That
rough.
rage at another dragon that
Yep.
Saphira feels in this moment is so interesting.
Yeah.
And Eggbreaker, I think, is probably one of the most horrible insults a
Yeah.
dragon could throw at another dragon.
Absolutely. I'm getting chills.
Yeah. Way back when in I think it's Flight of Destiny is that ep chapter where Eragon and Saphira fly the first time because the Razak are coming. Saphira gets really freaked out. And I think these are some of the words I don't have the book is downstairs. But I think like traitor, Eggbreaker, Oathbreaker, like I think those are some of the terms that come to her mind when she is thinking about the Razak and the
Razak, yeah,
betrayal and all the harm that caused. And so throwing this at this other dragon she is angry. This dragon has betrayed. She doesn't even know this guy, but he has betrayed her personally.
Yep.
Yeah, which sucks. I mean, I know it's in the next chapter, but knowing that that dragon didn't really have the choice, I'm sure Thorn has his own feelings being called those insults,
Right?
Yeah.
being hurled at him. That's got to be tough.
Oh, it's devastating. And then, but like right away, this other writer, it's Murtagh, this other writer like has high level skills because he
Like,
goes after
insane.
Eragon
Yeah.
in a way that like the retaliation of the blast of force was greater than even Ormus was capable of summoning. And Eragon has to like start reciting some text that like focus your
Yeah.
brain on just one thing. Like this is really a beginner technique that Eragon has to fall back on immediately because of how powerful this attack is. And meanwhile, all of a sudden we get Triana calling for help because there's also these really powerful new magic users have joined the fray. They're taking out the other magic users. They're going to kill all the Varden. It gets cut off before she can tell us who it is because there's nothing like suspense in a fight scene to raise the stakes.
Yep. And it's also like, it's super heightened because, like you said, it's like not only is that war still raging, now the Gata are under threat, under these two powerful things, and Eragon is still very active. Him and Saphira are very active in this fight. So stakes are super high right now.
Yeah, and Eragon can't come help them. He can't lower his defenses to go help the other magic users for the Varden. He's trying to keep this guy from annihilating him.
Yep, absolutely.
It's got to be scary for the is it Duvrangangata, or how do you say it? The
Duvrangangata.
Duvrangangata, because most of their spellcasters are people who were barely learned, not real apprentices, people that were kind of put back and forth that had any semblance of any kind of magic use.
Yeah.
So to feel these forces coming in, I probably would have sent me running at least.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like at this point too, they had already killed one of the members, and they were trying to do again on another one when Triana reaches out. And so that's also just like, oh shit, they're taking these folks are taking out Duvrangangata one by one by one. It's scary.
Yep. And then Eragon, speaking of things that are scary, pulls this shit.
Which is super cool, but also this is
cool.
insane.
Cinematic.
It is Eragon. It is insane.
Yeah, it's cinematic. He tells Saphira verbally, because he can't lower the defenses to talk to her. He's like, catch me. And then cuts his own, like the straps keeping him in the saddle off. And then just free fall dives, yeets himself off the back of the dragon so he can get close enough to the red dragon and like slice down the back of this dragon's leg. On a hamstring. Oof, that is a fear I have. Hamstring? No. That's terrifying. Gets the dragon, but then he keeps falling because obviously Eragon can't fly, and he's just kind of have to hope that Saphira catches him, which of course she does, and she's pissed.
She's so mad. I love that. Never do that to me again. Yeah, dude.
It worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that made me think of I've got a new little 6-year-old dude in my life, and he absolutely loves How to Train Your Dragon. And so just that, I think it's maybe the second movie where Hiccup is starting to make his own inventions and stuff, but he does the same thing where he just jumps off the back of Toothless and is free falling trying to glide, and then Toothless has to swoop in and save him. But yeah, same vibe, scary, especially in the midst of battle. That's tough.
You know what it reminds me of? I just thought about this. It reminds me of the scene in the first newest Godzilla movie where they jump from the plane and they're coming down through all the clouds and stuff, and they go underneath and the city's on fire and they're falling down. I'm like, that's probably very similar to what this would look like with Eragon, just a single person falling down with just heavy cloud fire and then this like red glow from the ground coming up, just him falling. I'm like, oh yeah, that gave me more chills. I fucking love this book.
It's so great. And that's when they're like, okay, we're going to land. Eragon and the other writers just start to like one-on-one duel while the Red Dragon and Saphira are like circling them. Oh, big visual.
It's so good.
Cinematic.
Yeah, because it's like while Eragon's thing worked, he was able to cut this other dragon. Now Saphira's under the mercy of this red dragon because she keeps trying to rise and he's not letting her, and then they have to land. Yeah, which is like good going, Eragon. No.
Oh, I was just gonna say another thing that's intimidating is even though Eragon was able to, hit the dragon's hamstring, when they do land, the new rider slides off the uninjured side of the dragon and heals him almost instantly.
Yeah.
Which impresses Eragon. Like, how could he do that? How is it that fast? There's no way.
and with such a short spell. So it's someone who has a lot of power and is very skilled with using the ancient language.
Very well versed. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So then they start to just one-on-one duel, and Eragon's like, it's like this guy knows my every move. Like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, it's not until like Eragon starts to lose ground, because also he's been fighting all day. This guy, this dude in the red dragon, just kind of showed up out of nowhere. He's been resting this whole time, waiting, right? And Eragon's been fighting all day long. So what on this, to be clear, not a fair fucking fight.
Not a fair
to
fight.
begin with.
Nope.
Not that I think a fair fight would have helped Eragon in this case when we see how strong Murtagh has gotten. But before we get to that, there's this move where when the rider knocks Eragon down, determined not to be killed lying down, he rolled back on his feet and stabbed at the rider, who knocked aside Zarak with a lazy flick of his wrist. The way the rider flourished his sword afterwards, spinning it in a quick circle by his side, suddenly seemed familiar to Eragon, as did all of his preceding swordmanship. He stared with a growing horror at the enemy's hand and a half sword, and then back up at the eye slits in the mirrored helm and shouted, "I know you!" He threw himself at the rider, trapping both swords between their bodies, hooked his fingers underneath the helm, and ripped it off. And there in the center of the plateau, on the edge of the burning plains of Allegasia, stood Murtagh.
Our boy!
Do you remember the first time you read this?
I do, and it brought back feelings. I mean, shoot, I was probably 13 or 14 when I first read this. And, you know, in the first book, when Murtagh is going through this trip with Eragon, they're going through their training sequences. Of course, you're going to learn the way that this guy moves, but it just speaks to how close they had gotten to where not only do you know this man's fighting style, but you know his features, you know his body, his strength. I'm sure some of that changed with his training that he took with Galbatorix, but to just know that even if you don't know exactly who the person is, but that you know them just by fighting, that's a closeness that you can't get anywhere else, you know, and to fight against somebody that you've been so close to has got to bring up so many different feelings that it would be tough to deal with in the midst of war, you know?
We see all that in the next chapters, really what Eragon is grappling with. Before jumping into that, I wanted to circle back to a thing I mentioned in the last episode that I wasn't able to collect the information I wanted on, which was how long has it been since we mentioned Murtagh? In Witch's Brew is the first time Murtagh has come up in a while, and so I was like, how long has it actually been? But I wasn't able to get the audio, the ebook at the time to do a search. Last night I was able to hop on Libby. The ebook for Eldest was available, and I was able to search Murtagh, and now I have the answer for you. So
look at
I
that.
went ahead. I have, listener, you can't tell, I have little sticky notes that I put in the book to highlight a few things. So the last time Murtagh is mentioned after the beginning of the book, after the attack of the Urgals, Ajahad, the twins, like when he's dead, the last time Murtagh is mentioned is on page 57, where during the funeral for Ajahad, Eragon thinks of it as like this is basically a funeral for Murtagh as well. Yep, good. After that, we don't think about Murtagh again until page 152, after Eragon has had a one of like the pain attacks when he's traveling with the dwarves in that chapter, and he thinks about, I wonder if Murtagh's scar ever pained him like mine does. And then we don't think about Murtagh again until page 276, where Eragon is debriefing with Ormus for the first time and explains like the scar and the injury, and he says, Ormus has asked him, like, hey, why didn't you have, like, Ariel or someone, like, actually heal the scar itself, right? Like, take away the scar. And Eragon says, it's part of me now, just as Murtagh's scar is a part of him. Murtagh's scar. Murtagh bore a similar mark. It was inflicted when his father, and then we get that story. And that, again, is on page 276. And we don't have Murtagh mentioned again after that point until Witch's Brew, when Auric shows up and mentions, you don't have Murtagh to hang out with at this battle like you did the last one. And that is page 613, which is 337 pages since the last time Murtagh is mentioned, which is over half of the book.
Yep.
There are 668 pages. Half of that would be 334 pages. So Eragon literally doesn't think about Murtagh once for over half of the page count of the book. And that And after his funeral, after the death, the only other times Eragon has thought about Murtagh is in association with his own scar.
Yeah.
But and so if we want to discount those two things, the first time it's like over 300, it's over 600, okay, not 600, over 500 pages before Eragon thinks about Murtagh in the context of a friend he once had.
Yeah.
And okay, that's crazy, right? Yeah. I just want to take a minute. That's kind of crazy that Murtagh, who was our Han Solo, our BFF from the first book, we spent a ton of time with him. He doesn't even get any goddamn lines at the beginning of this book. We see him for half a second and then he's dead. And then, just gone. And, okay, now I'm going to get real for a second, just a hot second. When you have lost someone that you cherished as a friend, their absence haunts you.
Yes.
I don't know, like I can speak to this personally. I know, Lucy, you can, Diego. I don't know if you can, but when you lose someone you love, their absence of them is a thing you reflect on, even when you are not actively experiencing the grief, even when you have healed from the part that was a raw wound. It will, I don't know, sometimes you'll just think when you're having a moment, I wish that person was here to enjoy this. What would they have thought about it? And so it is kind of crazy that for half of the book, all of the times that Eragon is in Elis Mira, we never once get him thinking about, I wonder what Murtagh would have thought about this. Training with the elves. What would he think about my new look? When he swears loyalty to Naswada and stuff, like what would I don't know if that happened before or after the funeral. I think it happens after the funeral.
I think it's after the funeral.
Yeah, and so it's kind of wild that this character who was really important in the first book, who is now revealed to be not dead but alive and also your brother, and is clearly going to be really, really important going on, just kind of disappeared from Eragon's thoughts entirely. And not in a way that I feel like it was intentional, Eragon just not wanting to think about it because it hurt. I think it's a thing where Eragon just kind of also forgets that Auric is around and he's so obsessed with Arya. Like, is Eragon a bad friend?
We've had that
conversation. Not saying moving on after you lose someone makes you a bad friend. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But like, how quickly Eragon just kind of like, but I wonder, and here's actually the conclusion I'm trying to bring. I wonder if the actual reason we don't even think about Murtagh for over half of the page count of this book is because Christopher Paolini was really scared to foreshadow this reveal.
Yeah.
We don't think about Murtagh until right before Murtagh shows up again. But was it, I don't want you to think, I want this to be a big, cool twist, and I don't want you to see it coming whatsoever, so I better not let Eragon think about Murtagh ever again. In fact, I want you, the reader, to forget Murtagh existed until I think it's time. Like, is that it? What is this?
I'm wondering
am I crazy? Or is this weird?
I thought it was weird. I know last time you guys had guested on the Tears of Fire on what we were talking about, one of the things I had said is that I feel like deaths need to have substance to have meaning. You know, people can't just come back for no reason. But I felt like this one was actually not too bad because since Eragon didn't dwell on it and didn't have these big feelings on, oh, he needs to come back, we need to find a way to bring him back, it didn't feel like it was out of convenience. Obviously, like you were just saying, it feels like Paolini had planned this so far in the future. Maybe some foreshadowing was called for, but I kind of liked that it wasn't hinted at in any way because it gives that big shock factor when he is revealed.
Yeah, I don't think there should have been any foreshadowing that Murtagh was going to come back because why would you foreshadow that your dead character is going to come back and be the writer and also Eragon's brother? Like, that's fine. It's the stark absence of Murtagh that I find interesting because when I was thinking about this, my brain gave me I had the thought of like Murtagh's been haunting the narrative, but he's not. Murtagh's been haunting our podcast because we know he's coming back. So Murtagh's been haunting the show, but Murtagh doesn't haunt the narrative. He's not even thought of for over half of the page count. So.
Yeah, I can't really relate this to anything other than I have a buddy that's in the military and we don't really conversate. We'll send the occasional meme or
Yeah.
reel on Instagram, but we won't conversate until, every 6 months or even once a year when he's back in town. But other than that, since I'm so busy and since he's so busy,
Yeah.
there's just nothing. Like, it's not that I don't love him. It's not that I
Yeah.
don't think about him,
Yeah.
but we just don't have that time. So that's the only thing that I can really compare that to, and that it does make semi sense, at least to me, especially with Eragon being so busy between going to Ellesmere, being trained by the elves, having to deal with the Varden, and it, as much or as annoying as it is that he doesn't think about him, to me it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, that he is a lot. I'm not saying he should have thought about him every chapter, but just once. Just look at my sticky notes.
Just like once.
Just
once in there.
And not only when you're thinking about the fact that Murtagh also has
a scar. Yeah.
Which is so
maybe
crazy.
something like you get to the like elves and stuff. It's like, well, Murtagh really didn't want to be with the Varden. I wonder how he would react with me being here with the elves. Like, whoo.
Just once. Because the scar thing becomes so, but also it's like we definitely don't want you, the reader, to forget Murtagh has a scar, because those are the only 2 times we think about Murtagh, because Eragon's gonna like shove, I don't have a scar anymore. Like that's apparently a
literally.
Really and Murtagh's like legitimately, okay, let me read the chapter. Let me read my little synopsis. Okay, we're at Inheritance. Let's do it. Inheritance. Murtagh drops some lore. He and his dragon, Thorn, were forced to swear oaths to Galbatorix after the king learned their true names. But it also sounds like Murtagh might have bought into the king's propaganda, demonstrating powers far greater than Eragon's own. Though Eragon convinces Murtagh not to bring him and Saphira to Urbane, Murtagh takes his father's sword, stating that Morzan's blade should go to his oldest, not his youngest son.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, big twist. Big twist on twist on twist.
Twisties, all the twisties. I also like the beginning of this chapter basically opens up with the like premonition, as Eragon describes it, that he's been having, I think, twice now, that he's had this vision. A man sprawled in the clotted mud with a dented helm and a bloody mail, his face concealed behind an upthrown arm. An armored hand entered Eragon's view and pointed at the downed man with all the authority of fate itself. It's like, yep, that's because Murtagh points at Eragon, who is on the ground, and he says, "You never would give up."
Yeah. And Eragon's devastated. He's like, "How can you be alive? I watched you die. You died." And he's like, "Nah, I didn't actually." As we find out, the twins were working with Galbatorix. They took control of a group of Urgles. Oh, was that to Vivi?
Oh, sorry, I said yep, sorry, and I
Oh, yep, I think you said nope, and I was like, wait, am I wrong?
No, sorry, I was like, yep, and then I yawned, sorry. Yep.
They took control of a group of Urgles and arranged the ambush in order to kill Ajahad and capture me. Then they ensorcelled me. What a great word, ensorcelled.
Ensorcelled's such a good word.
They ensorcelled me so I could not escape and spirited me off to Urbane. Hey, wait, doesn't Angela make the comment about how ensorcelled is a good word? Like a few chapters ago? Doesn't she like stop herself in the middle? Oh, what a great word, ensorcelled.
Maybe. I know she says that about a word. I don't know if she says it about ensorcelled, but I do know she says a word. I don't remember what it was, though.
Okay. She said something recently. Hey, I still have the, hold on, I still have the
I was like, you still have the ebook, yeah.
I still have the ebook. I didn't return it just yet. I made sure, in case I wanted to do this exact nonsense.
While you're looking that up, one thing that I've always thought about and wondered is, since there's always that comparison between Murtagh's and Eragon's scars being pretty similar, we got a lot on Eragon's thinking on how his scar had hindered him physically as well when he was trying to fight, and then he felt, so much physically better when he was healed. I want to know, since we don't get too much in Murtagh's point of view, does that physically stop him or physically affect him as well, as much as it did Eragon? Because it doesn't seem like he brings that up as much. He's dealt with it for so long.
I mean, and maybe it doesn't. Like, also, Eragon's scar was magic. Like, it was the result of him killing the Shade. And it was basically cursed.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe Murtagh had, like, muscle issues, right? Maybe he didn't have the full range of motion because his fucking deadbeat asshole of a father threw a sword at him when he was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That surely messes you up with the development of those muscles. I can't imagine. So and that would be interesting because that's an element. It wasn't ensorcelled. It was quagmire.
Quagmire, that's it.
Ensorcelled is just a fun word. Oh, you know what? You and I had this conversation because Elva said ensorcelled.
Oh.
It's embarrassing.
No, you're good.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Aragon's upset. He's accusing Murtagh of betraying them because he doesn't know. But even when he finds out, he's still really mad at Murtagh.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, bro, like, you don't... Like, Murtagh's trying to say, like, I have no choice. And he goes, you betrayed us. And Murtagh's like, dude, I had literally
I was
no
warning
option.
you and you betrayed us. He also was really rude. Ajahad was right to lock you up and you've become your father. He even says that after... Murtagh says that after Thorin hatched for me, Galbatorix forced us to swear loyalty to him in the ancient language. We cannot disobey him now. Pity and disgust welled inside of Eragon. You have become your father. And he's like, no, I'm more powerful than he ever was. And that's where we get like a bit of like a villain. Like, ooh, shit, Murtagh. Like, yeah, maybe you have been forced to swear oaths to Galbatorix. Like maybe you were like coerced into this and now you're like magically bound. But also, I fear you have bought into the propaganda with the I know so many things, I know so many secrets. He wants to restore the riders. It's so great. The elves suppress the humans, and you're just like, oh no.
Yeah, it's a big because like Murtagh even talks about how like when he first meets Eragon and they're traveling, he's like, you've never spoken with the king, like you don't know how like tempting he makes things sound. And so this is because he bought into it when he was young. Before he ran away, he bought into it, and then when he came back, Galbatorix lost his temper and like went berserk, and that snapped Murtagh out of it, and he goes, oh, I need to leave. And then now here you see him, he's bought in again. He was tempted again.
Yep. But now we find out the dragon's name is Thorn, which okay, Murtagh, we forgot. You're kind of our emo boy, My Chemical Romance.
Yep.
Goth. Because let's remember, Eragon named Saphira.
Yeah.
Which means Murtagh named his dragon Thorn too, and he picked the name Thorn.
Yeah, no, I really like that, and I feel like you can just feel when he was explaining that he had to swear fealty to Galbatorix. You get that feeling that he didn't necessarily want to, and like you were saying, he was coerced. But through his actions here, and I'm not sure if it's in this chapter or maybe the next chapter. Or no, it has to be this one. We get that when he was, how do you say this? Even though they're speaking in the ancient language and you have to do exactly those actions, he was able to almost find a loophole. Even though they were using the ancient language and he was coerced by Galbatorix, there's still a little bit of him fighting. Because when it comes down to, and this is a little bit later in the chapter, that he says that he doesn't have to kill Eragon and don't let them cross paths again, that it'll be a different result. He's finding his own way to not necessarily fight back to Galbatorix, but let Eragon go, which I thought was
loopholes.
Yeah, which was interesting since they were. I'm pretty sure maybe I was misunderstanding, but were they not communicating in the ancient language for most of this interaction?
No, I think they're talking in whatever common.
Well,
they're talking in common.
At some point in time, he does switch to speaking in the ancient
Yeah,
language.
because
not just to do magic.
Yeah, because that's when the big thing comes up where they're fighting and then they're kind of exchanging these like insults back and forth, and then different like lore drops. Murtagh kind of like goes into like, oh, I'm super turned into this, blah blah blah, and then during the middle of Murtagh's like monologue, because he asks. He's like, oh, you're the change that's over you. Like, does Islan Zardi do that to you? And Eragon doesn't say anything. And Murtagh's like, no matter, I'll learn the truth soon enough. And then he stops and looks over, and they both see that the twins are standing at the front of the empire, casting balls of energy into the midst of the Varden and dwarves. And while they're watching this, that's obvious to them and not the twins, is Roran was crawling towards them from the side.
Roran on a stealth mission back here.
Right? Because I'm like, and you can just like tell, like from Roran's perspective, like imagine him being in the middle of this and looking up and seeing these twins just annihilating the Varden, and he goes, those guys gotta go. And so
That's
he makes
clearly the biggest problem that I can deal with myself.
exactly. And so he's like, all right, up to me. And so he sneaks around. It's
Uh-huh.
just so Roran too.
Well, I was gonna say, and Eragon, he's freaked out because he knows what the twins are capable of. He's afraid and Murtagh's seen it too, right? So that's a problem. And he's about to use magic to like teleport Roran away, like no matter the cost. And Murtagh says, wait, I want to see what he'll do.
Why?
The twins enjoyed tormenting me when I was their captive.
You won't hurt him. You won't warn the twins.
And listen, Darien famously doesn't know how to pronounce things in the ancient language, so I'm not going to try. But he responds in the ancient language, and it means, upon my word as a writer.
Yep. And then that's what also makes me think, like, they've been speaking in whatever common English, whatever the common language in this. And then
just going back and forth.
Yep. And then they switch to he only switches to the ancient language twice, and that's to show Eragon that he's speaking the truth. Yep. And then what happens next is so fucking amazing.
And this is why you're here. This is the real reason you're here. For this.
This is what I was saying, is I was a little disappointed that with Roran's big moment, it was in somebody else's point of view and we're halfway across the battlefield and didn't really get to see much. But I just wish we got a little break in the little 3 stars to signify point of view change, because with Roran not having much experience battling magic users and spellcasters, I would want to see how he was able to sneak up on the twins. The twins are supposed to be these mega powerful spellcasters compared to everyone else. I would assume that they would be able to detect a human presence around them, but for Roran to be able to, who has not ever been a stealthy guy, sneak up on these 2 behind him, and with one blow just completely, not necessarily decapitate, but bash one of these guys' heads in, and then while the other one's writhing in pain, end him as well. Oh man, I feel like Roran deserved to have that point of view written out and have that glory a little bit to himself. That's my only complaint.
It is kind of crazy that it's kind of tucked in here in between big reveal Murtagh's back.
Yep.
Roran's big moment, big reveal, Murtagh and Eragon are brothers. Like, that is kind of a bizarre spot to put it, because it is such a huge, it would be so short chapters, but Christopher Paolini isn't afraid to write a short chapter. So go off. But yeah, it is crazy. And I would really like to know, like, exactly, like, the twins, I think it is hubris that allows Roran to... not Roran's hubris, though, because Roran doesn't have hubris. He has completely earned confidence in his capacity to do anything he sets his mind to. So, of course, he can kill these magic users. It's not even a problem.
Absolutely.
He's just got to get close enough without them physically seeing them. But the twins are targeting the other magic users. So they have their minds out, but they are specifically only looking for magic users. So probably, like Eragon does when he first gets to the Varden, you are dealing with a magic user if when you touch their mind, they immediately pull away. If there's someone who's aware of that. And they probably haven't clocked Roran because he's not pulling away from it because he doesn't know how to do that. Sense. And they probably don't think just some guy is going to be a threat. They also might just be a little bit like distracted. That's why Roran doesn't want them to physically see them, but maybe they don't know how close he is. And they just didn't think anyone could touch them. Because also, the thing about this is, the magic users are supposed to be being protected. Like, right? Like, you're supposed to have a whole army around your magic user, right? And the magic user's doing their thing, and then the army's doing the immediate thing. And the twins think they're so great that they didn't even try. Or they kind of just thought, well, Murtagh's here. He'll keep anything from happening to us.
Yeah.
And Murtagh said, fuck you.
Yeah, literally. He's like, there's nothing in the oaths I took that made me protect you.
Yep. And then their minds are so interconnected with each other that when when Roran takes out one of them, it essentially psychologically takes out the other. Yep. Right? So we're not able to turn around because if they hadn't, when Roran took out one twin, the other should have been able to turn around and kill him. Yeah. But he couldn't. And so, yeah, it's pretty great.
It's a great scene.
Pretty gruesome. But I think it's another testament to Christopher Paolini not writing. He writes war and fight and conflict and violence with the severity, seriousness, like respect, it is
Yeah.
owed because it is no light or small thing, but he
Mhm.
doesn't do it gratuitously,
Yes.
graphically. Like, we have a description of he swung the hammer and bashed one of the twins in the head, cracking open his skull. There's no blood, there's no brain matter, right?
Yep.
Like, we, the reader, we can visualize that.
Yeah.
Also, again, it keeps it firmly in the age group it's supposed to be in.
Yep.
But simultaneously, I would even argue it's not for adult things. I don't necessarily need to have it described in that detail. I know what happens if you crack someone's skull in.
Yeah.
I can picture it.
Yep.
Because it's just not that kind of book.
Yes.
But it doesn't make it any less impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have Game of Thrones, and I've always actually said that. I've had so many conversations that I was disappointed with the Eragon movies and how obviously it didn't take off because there were no sequels. But if they were to be done by HBO, which I know it's being done by Disney, but this series does have the potential to be just as dark, if not darker, than Game of Thrones to me, just by the themes laid out and the actions taken with Galbatorix being this overpowerful guy.
Mhm.
I would have loved to see that, but again, like you were just saying, that's not who the target audience is, and that's not the story we're writing. So I agree that Paulini did a great job of keeping it, we'll say PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly that. It is incredibly. I think it demonstrates that a theme itself is not inherently appropriate or inappropriate for an age group. It's the manner in which that theme is being presented that makes it appropriate or inappropriate.
Yep.
And there are like publishers and librarians and the folks who work in these industries are well aware of what is age appropriate.
Yeah.
So, here we get more back and forth. So after that, it's like kind of great. It's also unintentionally kind of comedic to picture these two riders and their dragons standing up on the plateau. They've been engaged in this massive fight, and they spend, I would say, at least 2 minutes just kind of watching
this happen. Yeah,
just standing there, hand on hip.
Just gonna see.
We're just gonna wait and see what happens.
And then after the twins are dead, it's like, and Eragon's like, "So are you gonna kill me?" And Murtagh's like, no. Galbatorix wants Saphira because she's the only female dragon left.
Yep.
The green egg, apparently you can just know this before a dragon hatches. You can know their sex. The green egg, the remaining egg, is male.
Do we know?
Which means Saphira is the last living female dragon. And Galbatorix wants to repopulate the dragons. He wants to recreate the riders. Never mind the fact that he's the one that killed all of them, even the wild dragons in the first place. Don't worry about that. That was the elves' fault somehow, actually. It's like, Murtagh, the propaganda! No!
The propaganda, Murtagh! No! We
Murtagh,
say no to propaganda!
We say no to propaganda.
It's got to be crushing for Saphira, too, because we went for so long with her thinking that she's the only dragon besides Galbatorix. And then to find out that there were other eggs. I mean, I guess they knew that there were other eggs to begin with, but we don't have a guarantee on when they'll be hatching or who they'll be hatching for.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you just said, Darien, we, up until this point, didn't know that we could guarantee the sex of eggs, but to have that be confirmed that she's the only way that her species can survive, I feel like in the midst of this battle has got to be soul-crushing for Saphira as well.
Yeah, and like horrifying to find out that Galbatorix wants to force her to mate.
I was gonna say
with these other dragons.
It's the undertones here are not great because it's like if she breeds, she will be the mother of her race. Do you see now? He wants to use Saphira to rebuild the riders, and I'm like, that's gross. That is
gross.
Super gross.
And yeah, she's like the other dragons are they don't know about Gladiator, but we've already had the whole conversation about Gladiator, right? That's not ever going to happen. And then she knew about Shuriken, who is insane because of what Galbatorix did to him. And now we have Thorn, who is being forced to battle and work with Galbatorix, and that's no good. And like also just, I don't know, the threat of sexual violence being posed upon Saphira now is horrifying. And I don't mean that in a way that like, wow, Paolini shouldn't have written that. That's irresponsible. I mean like that is just me reading it as a lady person who relates to Saphira in that way. Like that's also a layer there, and it's, oh my god, and we're dealing with a lot right now. So
yeah, there's so much going on.
Yeah, and Eragon's like, just come with us. Like, Arya and I and the elves, like, I bet we can find a way to neutralize whatever Galbatorix has forced you under, whatever oath you've taken, like, we can help. And Murtagh, in his Scottish accent, because I listened to the audiobook. I didn't listen to it the first time around with Murtagh scenes in Eragon, so I have not heard the audiobook narrator do Murtagh, and someone told us he's Scottish. This is my first time experiencing it. It's magical and perfect.
Yes, it is. That's literally, whenever I think of Murtagh talking, that is what I think of.
He's Scottish, yep. But Murtagh tells him that Galbatorix knows Murtagh and Thorn's true names. We will be his slaves forever. Like, and we've learned about true names. We know what it means if somebody has it. It's bad. Yep. It's really bad if this happens to you. And Eragon stops offering to help Murtagh because he knows there's nothing they can do for them now.
Yep.
They truly are trapped forever. So then Eragon makes a crazy suggestion.
Yeah, it's like,
Just die for me.
Yeah, just die for me. Let us
kill you. Isn't it a noble cause to sacrifice yourself for? And Murtagh's like, maybe for you, but life is still too sweet for me to part with so easily. No stranger's life is more than Thorn's or my own. And I like Murtagh mentioning his dragon before himself because Eragon would do the same thing.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It's a little thing to remind us that whatever's going on here, it is the same bond that Eragon and Saphira have.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And poor Thorn hasn't even had the chance to have a life. You know, he's been cursed and trained and grown in captivity through Galbatorix. You know, he hasn't even experienced freedom.
Yeah, he's not quite as big as Saphira, but he's like bulkier, but also he's much younger than Saphira.
Yeah.
And he's already this big. That feels not normal. That feels like something bad happened there.
Yep.
And so we have, I can't tell if Eragon's asking Murtagh to just, hey, let us kill you then is reasonable. Mostly because I don't know if, well, it's crazy. It is for sure. But it is Eragon deciding that, well, if there's no way to save you, then the only right thing to do, if you are going to be forced to cause harm, is to take yourself off the board. And I think that is Eragon projecting what he would do.
Yeah.
I think fully, sincerely, 100%, if Galbatorix got a hold of him and Saphira and found their true names and put the spells, made them swear these oaths, that if Eragon found himself in front of Ormus and Gladier, he would let them kill him.
Yeah. I think so too.
And I think that's less of Eragon being dismissive of Murtagh or no longer deciding Murtagh is worth trying to save, and more, this is 100% what Eragon himself would do in that position because he would fully believe that that is the right and only thing to do. If you're going to be forced to cause harm, then you must do everything in your power to not do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and you know, no spoilers, but until book 4, at this point, that would be the only way to free yourself, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, flip side, he could also just be like, don't worry, man, we'll go kill Galbatorix. Like, I do feel like that's actually the other option. And Eragon doesn't even offer it in this moment.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. Like, well, then I guess we got to go kill Galbatorix. But also, Eragon literally hasn't thought about Murtagh once in over the half the page count of this book, so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised we gave up on trying to save our friends so fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we get to the part that all of the Eragon and Murtagh shippers from book 1 are heartbroken over.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that a thing I mentioned when we were doing book 1? I was like, dang, I would ship it so hard. And then I remembered, like, wait, no, I can't. I'm not going to ship it. But, like, when you're reading, but, like, in book 1, you don't know.
Yeah. I will say this crazy thing happens, and it's just, I think this scene is just to show us how powerful Murtagh has become, because Eragon tries to stab Murtagh through the heart, and he locks Eragon up. And then Saphira jumps into the air to attack him, and he freezes her mid-air. She is airborne, and he stops her. And then he holds both of them like that, even though they are fighting against him, for 2 full minutes. And Murtagh doesn't show, like, they talk about a thick vein pulsed in Murtagh's neck. But other than that, Murtagh doesn't really show any sign of weakness or anything. And Aragon's like floored because he's
Yeah.
like, he doesn't, how can he still be human and have the strength to do that? Even with my new ability, such a task would leave me gasping for air and unable to walk. So it's insane. And we're just like, what happened?
No, yeah, it is. And Eragon has to give up. Like,
he has to stop.
Loses this contest of magical wills.
Yes. And I do like that because before, like, I think we mentioned this in the last episode, where Eragon turns that little, like button-sized thimble of dirt into water and it almost kills him.
Mhm.
And in this time, using the lessons that Oramus taught him, like loopholes to get out of magic, he's able to do that. So he uses his magic to try to get out of it, but when he's unable to, he can let go of it. It won't kill him, which is very good. He's learning.
He's learning. We're so proud of him. I like it a lot. And I do like okay, wait, real quick though, because I want to talk about that, but I'm looking for a passage that before we know it's Murtagh, when Eragon first attacks here it is. When Eragon goes after the mental defenses, right, of the other rider to try to assault him.
Yes.
The consciousness of the writer felt strange to Eragon, as if it contained multitudes. Scores of different voices whispered in the caverns of his mind, like imprisoned spirits begging for release. That's weird. Something wrong here. Yes. And now that we know it's Murtagh and we're seeing what he's capable of, like, that adds a little bit more to, that's your mental state?
Like what's up with your mental
state? Yeah, Eragon's is described as vast and alien by his cousin, but it's not described as there are imprisoned spirits begging for release, which now that we know it's Murtagh and he's being forced to do this largely against his will, even if he has drank the propaganda juice, apparently. You kind of get that. It's not going well for our guy. But after the contest of wills is lost, Murtagh's like, it'd be really easy to take you in. And he's like, don't let us go. You tried to kill me, and you would have done the same. And Murtagh doesn't argue because he's like, yeah, you're right, I would have.
He's like, fair.
But he does manage to convince Murtagh to, like, don't do this because Murtagh doesn't want to. Also, he doesn't like the position he's in. This isn't where he wants to be. Even if he has kind of, like, weirdly bought into this, like, idea of bringing back the writers and having a grand future, this isn't by choice, right?
Yeah.
And so I love, like we said, he finds a loophole where Murtagh says, I was ordered to try and capture you and Saphira. I have tried. Make sure we don't cross paths again. Gabatorix will have me swear additional oaths in the ancient language that will prevent me from showing you such mercy the next time we meet. And this is where Murtagh takes the sword. He's like, I should have Zorak, because misery and Thorn. Reminder again that he did name his dragon Thorn.
Yep.
God, Murtagh, you're so basic sometimes.
And he's like, a fit match. All right, bud.
Oh, and then we get the big reveal. Oh my God.
Big reveal.
Your dad is Morazan, a bad guy. And this is a thing that matters a lot, and you should think about it a lot and have a lot of feelings about.
Yeah, because at first Eragon thinks he's lying. You're lying. And he's like, did Brahm know? Does Oramus know? Why didn't anybody tell me? And then Murtagh repeats it in the ancient language. Yeah. And Eragon is just crushed.
Yeah. And his evidence is, oh, your mom's name is Selena. My mom's also named Selena, which is like not evidence, Murtagh.
Yeah.
But they discovered the twins are the ones who realized it going through their minds. And later in the next chapter, we'll have like the timeline tracks. Like they know Selena disappeared from Carvajal 20 years ago. Murtagh's around 20. She came back briefly, gave birth to Eragon, and left again. Like it tracks. And we have no reason to believe that Murtagh, we know he's not lying. So at the very least, he believes this is true. And we have no reason to believe he's wrong about this because, or like, okay, you have the same mom. Morazan is your dad. This is sucks.
Yep, this bad news bears all around.
Yeah. And then he says, so he grabs Zorak and lifted it upright before his chest. So be it. I take my inheritance from you, brother. Farewell. He said it. He said
I was going to say, it's the meme with the glass and the pointing. It's
He said it. Your inheritance? Also, okay, let's take a second to talk about this. Hey, Murtagh, why the fuck are you taking that sword?
Yeah, bud.
You don't need to
do. You really want that sword?
You don't need to lean into it. That sword that cut you badly, that was your father's, your abusive asshole of a father. Yeah, it matches your dragon, but like...
I was going to say... It matches his ride at least, which is I keep thinking of Cars for some reason. I don't know why.
It is so wild though, because it's like Murtagh has to do he has to follow Galbatorix's orders because Galbatorix we know the bond that Eragon and Saphira has.
Mm-hmm.
And now Murtagh is trapped by that bond.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know Galbatorix definitely threatened Thorn when he was a
Yes.
baby dragon.
Yes.
And now he has their secret names. So we have all that. So Murtagh is not able to leave like he once did.
Mhm.
He's not free to make his own choices. But he is free to make some choices. And he did,
Mhm.
while he chooses to let Eragon go, he also chooses to take the sword.
Yeah.
And that suggests our buddy's on a bad path.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Pat. And this was one of the biggest parts I remember reading the first time, way, like I said, back when I was like 12 or 13. I felt like this to me was so crushing. If I was Eragon,
Mm-hmm.
I, like, it sucks to say because everybody wants to be the hero, but this probably would have made me given up because you know that the rider's sword isn't necessarily, well, I mean, it is. It's the magical weapon, right? It's supposed to be better than any other sword crafted by the elves, and up until this point, it's the only sword we've seen to this point. And for somebody to have taken this with almost no effort in ease and from your hands
Yeah.
with a dragon that's so much younger than yours and has proven that he's already so much more powerful than you. Oh man, that would have just made me sit down and put myself into a big depression.
Yeah.
No, for
It's
sure.
crushing.
And it's like it is, and is Murtagh leaning into his inheritance, right? Like
Mhm.
you don't embracing it, and that's wild.
Yeah.
That this is the choice that Murtagh, who has so few choices left to him right now, is making.
Yep.
This to me gives Zuko season 3 vibes, or like end of season 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Beginning of
season
season 3. Absolutely.
Yeah, where he's back in the
Absolutely.
Fire Nation and trying to just, this is what I am, this is who I need to be, kind of a thing.
Yes, this is who I need to be to survive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Oh my god. Okay. I think I'm going to share something really embarrassing.
Okay.
It's about this book. It's about me reading this book when I was like 12, 13. And I was like, wow, this scene is so impactful. Like the end of the battle,
Mhm.
the Varden has won. The twins are dead. The Varden overcame. The Empire is retreating.
Yeah.
And this huge, like, the line at the end, they had won, but he had lost. I was like, oh, that's so good. And then immediately I was like, I should do the same thing like that, but in my fairy book. But it's not the brother. In the big reveal, it's the protagonist's love interest who comes back and he's evil. And like literally was like, yeah, that'll be great. Anyway, I was 12. And that's when you learn when you're a kid. You don't do shit like that eventually. So I still like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. But yeah, that was where I was at 12 years old. I thought this was so good that I wanted to write the exact same thing of my own.
Yep. I mean, what inspired you at least?
Well, less inspired. More just straight would have ripped it off because I was 12 and didn't realize that's
fair
not
enough.
how you write things.
Yep.
I never did, but I envisioned the scene in my head, but with my own characters. Okay. Do we have any final thoughts on whatever that was?
A little bit, just because when Murtagh and Thorn are about to fly away, Eragon tries to move and finds out he still can't. And then the only time when Eragon and Saphira can move is when Thorn vanishes below the horizon, and then they're able to move. And again, just like, holy shit, Murtagh is crazy strong.
Yeah.
Did we ever get an explanation for that? Because we know that Eragon gets the belt that gives him energy and that he can store all that into.
Yeah.
And
he's drained that.
Yeah, we know that that not Thorn, that Murtagh. I guess it's later in books, and I don't want to be spoilery, but he doesn't have. At least Eragon doesn't notice that he doesn't have any jewels or objects to assist him in that either. So it's just his physical prowess.
That's not brought up.
Yeah, it's just he has this crazy depth well of power, and it's like, whoop, that's probably going to be a thing we'll find out later. All right. Well, that brings us to our last chapter of the book, Reunion.
Yes.
Everyone reunites, regroups, and recaps the adventure. It's the last chapter, y'all.
Yep. It's I appreciate this because it's like the build up, and I think they did this in the first one too, where the big battle takes place, and then they have like a chapter or two at the end that kind of de-escalates and kind of we come down from the action, and I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah, I think it's a nice little breakup. So then we're not going into book 3 almost the same way that book 1 and book 2 bridged, where we're dealing with the aftermath of the battle. We get to deal with it now.
Yep.
Yeah. I think also it's important that we don't end the book on that last line.
Yes.
Like you said, it's not that kind of book. We don't leave feeling hopeless, right? And that's what this section does. So we get Eragon really thinking about, like, okay, so Murtagh's my brother, which means Morzan's my dad, and that makes me feel awful. Oftentimes, like, imagine my dad would be someone cool and important, but, like, I knew realistically that wasn't going to happen, so I'm really shocked to find out he's a writer, and one of the Forsworn, so that sucks.
Yep.
But it also makes him, like, have a deeper appreciation for his mom.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because we mentioned this when what's the crow's name? Bladder? No.
I keep wanting to say Glader. It's not Glader.
Blagden?
Blargden.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, when he mentions, that's the first time Eragon's ever, like, thought about his dad, and then a couple chapters ago he introduces himself as, like, the son of no one, and it's like, okay, we're also building to this. We're building this big reveal, right?
Yeah.
Like, we hadn't mentioned Murtagh in forever. Now we're talking about Eragon's dad. We haven't done that before, so.
Yep.
But he thinks about also how it's so interesting because Eragon doesn't really ever think about his mom other than to deliver us, the audience, the information about Selena coming to town pregnant, giving birth, and leaving again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Eragon really doesn't have any thoughts on that. I think he once thinks, like, it's crazy my mom abandoned me, but he doesn't really reflect on that. Like, Eragon doesn't think about this kind of thing. He's very here and now.
Yeah.
And so here he thinks about, after Morzan hurt Murtagh so badly, my mother must have fled, hidden the pregnancy from them, and gone back to Carvajal to protect me. And it heartened Eragon to know that Selena had cared for him so deeply. And he's also grieved to know, like, we know Selena is dead. It means Eragon's never going to get a chance to meet his mom, something we find out here he's always kind of held out hope for.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how, like, Eragon is processing this, and he also realizes it's going to take months, if not years, to come to term with the revelation, which, I'm glad you know that,
valid.
Eragon.
Yeah,
I really have to process.
like that. Yep.
I do like how when they're having their conversation with Nesuwata and Arya, and he's telling them this realization that he had, they reassure him that even though this is his father, it doesn't make them think any differently or lower their opinion of Eragon. It just shows that his actions have proven his character, and that it's a nice little differ, I would say, from most narratives, because most of the time when you're reading a story like this, I feel like the easy step in the easy narrative would to be have that hesitance around Eragon now and make sure, and I do know that they say that nobody else can know, because they will have that same reaction, but the people that matter and the people that are closest to Eragon shrug it off. It feels good.
Yeah, no, for real. I think also that I like also where Eragon's thoughts go, where he's first like, oh my god, I was sired by a monster, my father's a terrible person. He's like, no, hold on.
Yeah, I love this.
Morzan may be my parent, but he is not my father. Garo is my father. He raised me. He taught me how to live well and honorably, with integrity. I am who I am because of him. Even Brahm and Ormus were more fathers than Morzan. And Roran is my brother, not Murtagh. And these are things I think we as readers could have told Eragon.
Yeah.
But they're never, like, the fact, like, Roran's your brother, my guy. Like, Garo's your dad. And those are just not elements that Eragon let himself feel to be true, because I think he had to think he wasn't allowed to have those.
Yeah.
And so I like in this moment when he's really thinking about what those bonds of family actually mean, we see it here. Also, everybody's got dead dads. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Eragon's dad is dead over here. Roran's dad is dead over here. Jaswada's dad is dead over here.
Yep.
Arya's dad is dead.
Yeah.
Dead's left and right.
All over the
It just occurred to me that like I hadn't clocked that as a reoccurring theme that our characters are having to deal with, and the way they deal with it in different ways.
Yep.
I do like that this was brought up for Eragon, and he thought that way of, oh yeah, Garo is my father, and then it's reiterated, and he voices that to Roran when they're talking, and they have their little meetup, and Roran's not too happy, but he accepts it because he when they meet, he goes, "Tell me how my father dies," and father died, and Eragon kind of takes a second and says, "Our father. I have just as much of a right to call him that. Think about it." And I thought that was good, so that it helps Eragon accept it as well and move past this whole Morzan thing. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Now, Eragon's exact words to Roran in that scene are, "Look within yourself, you know it to be true." And I just think, Chris, you're not allowed to say that. You are not allowed to have a conversation about familial bonds and say you know it to be true. Listen, we give you a lot of flack about the Star Wars thing, but a lot of praise that you're not just outright ripping off scenes from Tatooine. You are not allowed to write the words "you know it to be true." That's crazy. You knew what you were doing there, Chris.
He probably loved that line so much, though.
He wrote it as a little Easter egg for himself. Yeah. No, Chris, we see you. You thought we didn't notice what we did.
Literally.
Saphira is, like, trying to comfort Eragon about this, like, before we get to Roran and stuff. But, like, she's not doing a good job. Mm-hmm. Weirdly, Saphira usually does a really good job comforting Eragon. He's like, "Oh, do you think that's why Braum was like watching me the whole time because he knew I was Morzan's son? He was keeping his enemy's son in line." And she's like, "Well, no, of course not. Like Braum cared about you. He never thought about that. He always tried to protect you, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, well, how can you be so like? What did he say? I know. Okay, hold on. Just remember, whatever Braum's reasons, he always tried to protect us from danger. He died saving you from the Razak."
I know. Do you think he didn't tell me about this because he was afraid I might emulate Morzan like Murtagh has?
Of course not.
How can you be so certain?
And she just doesn't. This ends her attempt to try to comfort Eragon. She literally won't meet his eye. And it's like, okay, Saphira, like, I guess, whatever.
Like, what was that about, girl? Come on.
So that's when we find the dwarves mourning Hrothgar. We'll circle back. This is pretty bad. Now we're going to have a new dwarf king, which, remember, not all the dwarf clans were so on board about supporting Varden.
Oric mentions that,
or Eragon. Yeah, so we're like, have to worry about whoever they pick as the next king. The dwarves literally turn the tide of this fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we lose their support, like, and we see how tough this fight is going to be, like, now we are risking a new king being, like, put into power who does not support the Varden and Eragon, especially if this other writer killed their last king.
I was literally gonna say, like, they have issues with Eragon because he's a writer, and the dwarves and dragons and writers have not been the best of friends over the centuries. And because that was, I think, the big thing was like, how dare you guys side with a writer? And now it's like, oh, now there's several writers, and one of the writers killed our last king, and that's really gonna throw in some dwarves are probably gonna be like, we don't want to do this. This isn't our fight or something.
We might lose the support.
Yep.
But before we get more into that, we run into Roran, who does proceed to punch Eragon on the chin.
Yep. And
warranted.
Fair.
It makes me annoyed. Yeah, it's super valid. I'm kind of annoyed but it's like fair, where like Eragon saw it coming and he rolls with the punch to prevent Roran from breaking his like hand. And I'm like, whatever, Eragon.
No, he would have though. Like,
he literally would have.
It still hurt.
Like, still hurt. Yep.
Do you think it was more of a pride and ego hurt than physical hurt?
I think it probably hurt.
A little bit.
I think Eragon, like, despite all the changes he's gone through, he's still very much just a 16-year-old human. And being punched in the face probably definitely hurt.
Yeah. They gotta go to. I love this interaction they have where they're walking quietly and then Eragon says, like, "I missed you," and Roran kind of just nods, but then he says, like, "This is Saphira, right? Geode said that was her name." And Saphira, through Eragon, first like, "I've always wanted to meet Eragon's nestmate."
It's so good.
She never got to.
Yeah.
And Roran's shocked because he didn't know dragons could speak, to which Saphira, "What? Did you think I was as mute as a rock lizard?" Speaking directly to him this time, not through Eragon. Which
Roran
is, like,
takes this so well.
Yeah. She's like, I beg your pardon. I didn't know that dragons were so intelligent. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, good. Roran recovers so quick. There are other
recovers so
folks
well.
that fumble so hard when they're told that Saphira is intelligent, but also the fact that
Yeah.
Saphira is willing to communicate directly with Roran
Yeah.
immediately
Mm-hmm.
is really telling. That's Eragon's nestmate. And
Yeah.
also, she only talks directly to people that she respects.
Yes.
And she wants Roran. I think she wants to have a good relationship with Roran
Mm-hmm.
because that's Eragon's nestmate.
Yeah, and
That is,
I
like,
also
really
think
good.
like and I also think like Aragon just went through this like not revelation, but like this solidification of his Roran is my brother. And so
Yeah.
Saphira feels this. And so
Yes.
she's like she might feel like Aragon and her are so close. In a way she could be like, this is my brother too. Like
Yeah.
in a way. And so
Yeah.
I think I'm with you where she's like, I just want a good relationship with him.
Yeah.
I want you guys to be okay with each other.
Yes,
and I also
especially
wanna
everything
be
that
there.
just happened with Murtagh.
Yeah,
I want Eragon
exactly.
and his brother to be okay. And then we get to the tent and Nasuada. And Lucy, we weren't
This
wrong.
is the
hug.
This I was re-listening. I'm like, oh, this is the hug. This is where she hugs him. I was because when we recorded, I listened to all of this in one big chunk. So I got my stuff mixed up. But yes, she does hug him. I knew she hugged him at
when
some
she
point.
sees Eragon come in, she literally runs towards him, threw her arms around Eragon, and cried, "Where were you? We thought you were dead or worse."
Yeah.
Because he forgot to lower his defenses so Arya could find him.
Yep.
So they all kind of just thought he was hey, is Triana dead?
Yeah, we don't
I've
ever
been
We
know
haven't
wondering
about
checked
about that.
in with the other magic users. Eragon's been healing some people, but everyone gets a crash course on what went down. We find out, well, first of all, Eragon introduces Roran, that he helped kill the twins.
Yep.
Nasuada is very appreciative. Good. That's what Roran was going for. And then when they talk about like the fight with the rider and everything, and Eragon's like, I pulled off his helmet, and Nasuada chimes in, it was Murtagh, wasn't it? And it's like, how do you know that?
Yep.
If the twins survived, it only made sense that Murtagh had as well. Did he tell you what really happened that day in Farthander? And Eragon recounts that. A tear rolled down Nasuada's cheek. It is a pity that this befell Murtagh when he's already endured so much hardship. I enjoyed his company in Shanjim and believed he was our ally despite his upbringing. I find it hard to think of him as our enemy. Some deep feelings we have, Nasuada.
Yep. And I
Maybe
do
some-
like how go ahead, Diego.
Oh, I was just gonna say maybe a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing is a literary
Who's to
device.
say?
And then she says to sorry,
Yeah.
Liz, were you going to say anything about that?
Yeah, I was literally gonna just say that. You can go on though.
No, you chime in.
Okay, I was just gonna say then, and I like this because at first she's like, "Oh, Rowan, thank you. You literally saved us. The twins would have killed us." And then she finds out this, and she's like, "It also seems that I owe you. I also personally am in your debt for slaying the traitors who murdered my father." And I think Rowan's just like, "You're welcome."
Yeah, he's like,
You don't really
cool,
get his
cool.
reaction, but
Yeah, but everything Roran does is to make sure he has the allies and support he needs to save Katrina.
Yeah.
And so a little bit is like, great, okay, so the leader of the Varden definitely,
he's like,
definitely
"Okay,
likes
check.
me.
Okay,
That's
I got
good.
her.
They're
I got
gonna-
her respect. Awesome. I'm
And
in
she's
her
definitely
debt.
going to take care of the
Excellent."
village. Yep. And meanwhile, Eragon, fathers, mothers, brothers, cousins, it all comes down to family. Yeah, well, the series is called Inheritance, so... You don't know that, Eragon. Obviously, you don't know that. But, like,
Yeah, you don't know
the,
that, Eragon.
the legacy, what we get from family, like that, that's what the book's about, Eragon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we already talked about it. They agree that no one needs to know about Murtagh, and no one needs to know about who Eragon's dad is. So,
Yep.
lock it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually have a thought on this. It's really interesting because when they say like our opinion of you doesn't change and all this, they're worried about it. It's like when they first met Murtagh, that was their reaction when they found out.
Yes!
The Varden's reaction when they're like, this is Morzan's son, is they locked him away immediately. And so now they're faced again with that. But in this time, it's almost worse because Eragon has helped them. And then for the Varden to realize that it might, and like what they said, it's going to demoralize them already from seeing a second. They're already demoralized from seeing the second rider. It's going to even do worse now. And so we've already seen that reaction, what happens from the, I want to say fearsome foursome, but that's not right.
What are you talking about? The
I have
Forsworn?
no idea. The Forsworn. I was like, what are they called again? I was like, what are they called? But it's like they're like their descendants or whatever you want to call them, like they have such a bad impact on society. We just know Murtagh's the only one in existence, but it's like everyone was like, we don't trust you immediately. Just knowing that, it's like, yeah. So just kind of
Yeah.
amplifying the,
Mhm.
yeah, no, we can't tell anybody this.
Yeah. But flip side, as Diego said earlier, you mentioned like this great interaction with Arya and Niswada, or I guess more like Niswada and Arya both telling
Yeah.
Eragon that like, hey man, like this doesn't change what we think of you. We still
Yep.
love and trust you. And I
Yep.
like that he's like, warmth blossomed inside Eragon. He looked from one woman to the next, then twisted his hand over his chest, overwhelmed by their friendship. Which, like, yeah, you're friends.
It's so good.
Stop being weird about Arya.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
How many times has she told you no?
Yeah, literally. Too many. Too
More
many.
than she's had to, my friend. And then when he goes out with Roran kind of is like a dick at first, but he acknowledges,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, he says this awful thing, blood
This
always
awful.
tells.
Yeah, that's an awful line.
Yeah. But then after a second, he's like, you're right. It was an ugly thought. I didn't mean it. He's just mad, right?
Yeah,
And
and I
sometimes when
was
you're
like-
mad, you say the thing that you're like, I don't actually mean that in my heart. I'm just
Yeah.
angry.
Yep. And I did appreciate that.
Yeah. You have this crazy, weird, I don't think this needed to be here, this back and forth about Niswada, right? Well, like,
Yeah.
her not being what he expected. Yeah, you were expecting Aja had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her skin, is it dyed?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's just the way she is. Hey, Roran, I get it. You have never seen a black person before. Neither had Eragon before he saw Ajahad, and he didn't. That wasn't a thought Eragon had.
He didn't ask Yormunger? What? His second
What?
hand in command?
Oh, yeah, your
Yeah,
Jormungandr.
like, I think because there was a part where Eragon and him are alone, it's like, he didn't ask him that question.
Yeah, it
Like-
was just like, oh, I've never seen someone whose skin was that dark before.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of a fact. And also how we know the only people who get their skin color described are people who aren't white. Get better at that, Chris. I'm sure he does. But here we are. Again, here we are. The only characters who get their skin commented on are
Yep.
the not white characters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I felt like that was kind of weird. I don't
Mhm.
know why we needed
Yeah.
like Eragon wasn't like confused to meet Ajahad. He was just like, I've never met a person with dark skin before.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you going to tell me that Roran doesn't know people can have darker skin colors?
Right.
I don't know. It was just it's
yeah,
weird.
it's a little weird line.
It's
It could have been-
uncomfy.
You could have cut it out completely and it wouldn't have made a lick of difference. Like that.
Yeah.
Like it could have been cut.
Yeah, she like Eragon saying she's a good leader as he was, if not better. Just then, Eragon felt Geode, Horst, and the score of other men from Carvajal hurrying towards them.
Yep. Literally could have cut
Yeah.
it. Nope. Yep.
Also, yeah, just seeing everybody again.
Yeah, is crazy. And I love like his reaction with Horst. Like he hugs Horst, right? And they're
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, Eragon." And I like how Eragon feels like he's separate from them all.
Yeah.
He describes himself and it's really interesting.
It reminded him of a dream where everything familiar is rendered alien. Which, what a
Mhm.
great description. Yeah,
Really
that
good
feeling,
one.
that weird
Yeah.
dream feeling, nailed
Yep.
it. And then Geode gets to meet Saphira, the dragon
Yeah,
whose
face
egg
to
he
face.
helped rescue.
Yep. And I like Saphira thanks him for
Mm-hmm.
rescuing her, which is so cool too.
Yep.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
almost wanted a little bit bigger of a reaction since this was Saphira and Aragon's really last, I would say, connection to Brahm as well,
Oh,
since they
yeah.
were the ones that, captured the egg and sent them back together. I would think that there would be a slightly bigger reaction. Like, of course, the thanks of a dragon is absolutely huge, and the respect of a dragon mean, almost more than anything else in this world. But without Geode, there is no Saphira.
Yeah.
So I think maybe not Saphira being as grateful, but I think Eragon should have a little bit more respect and a little bit more to say as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of tossed in here a little bit as like Paulini's trying to wrap things up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think I agree with you, Diego. I think Geode maybe deserved a little bit more
Yeah, I
emotional
agree.
impact. And we get the final like breakdown wrap up of like we talked about earlier of like Roran asking how my father died, how our father died.
Yep.
Okay, fine, our father. We get Eragon. I like Eragon, where he's told the story before, but he always just tells it in a way where he's like, okay, fact.
Yeah.
And now he is telling it differently, where he literally acknowledges that he hides nothing. Instead of just listing events, he described what he had thought and felt ever since he had found Saphira's egg, trying to make Roran understand why he did what he did. He had never been so anxious before. I was wrong to hide Saphira from the rest of the family, Eragon concluded. But I was afraid you might insist on killing her, and I didn't realize how much danger she put us in. I had... And then he, gets the rest of this. I think Roran is kind of coping. I did the best I could, Roran. I don't know. I like Roran. He doesn't say he forgives Eragon, but he acknowledges that they made mistakes.
Yeah.
And, also Roran acknowledges that, like, if I'd given myself up, people of Carvajal wouldn't have died. They wouldn't have had to travel. If he had just given himself up right away, the soldiers would have left. Like, the only reason it escalated to that point was because soldiers died and they got mad.
Yep.
But if he had left right away, it wouldn't have happened that way. But also, that wouldn't be a good story. So, Roran,
fair.
You can't just give yourself up. You're a folk hero, Roran. That's not what you
literally.
do.
There's going to be epics told about you.
There will be.
Yep.
He looked up and then slowly extended his right hand. Brother.
Oh, it's so
It got me again. I'm crying.
Yep, it's so good.
Galbatorix should surrender now that we're together again. Who can stand against the two of us? Oh my god.
It's so good.
That's all I want is Eragon to be with the people who love him.
Right? Agreed.
And then now it's Roran's turn to deliver what has gone down. And I appreciate Paulini doesn't really hit us with any recap. We were there, we know.
Yeah. Yep. And I do like when he goes, now you tell me, how did the Razak capture Katrina? All happiness vanished from Roran's face. It's like, yep. He's not, it's torture, tormenting him day and night, every waking minute.
Yeah. And now we have Roran confessing he doesn't even know if Katrina's still alive.
Yes.
And that's terrifying. He could have done all of this and maybe she died the moment they dragged her out of his sight. Like, he has no idea. But hey, it's okay. Your cousin is a writer and he's got cool magic.
He's got
magic. You can't scry someone who's dead. So here he is.
That's what I was going to say. I thought this was such a cool action from Eragon, who doesn't even give it a second thought. He just immediately goes over to his saddlebags where it says that the Varden had put them there after the battle. He immediately grabs, I forget exactly what it's called, but this thing that was given to him in order to scry. And then, boom, you're able to see is it Triana? Right?
No, Katrina.
Katrina, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Katrina.
Those names are too goddamn similar, Chris.
Yeah.
But they were able to see Katrina, and she's just in a terrible state. She's was she chained up or just in that cave?
And she's in a prison cell. Her hands are above her head, and I'm like, oh, girl, that's rough.
That's rough.
Yeah.
But she's alive.
But she's alive. And Eragon, God damn it, Roran is so happy to find this out. Grasping at it as if he thought he could dive through the Failnerve?
It's Failnerve.
Thank you. And join Katrina. His hope and determination melded into a look of such tender affection, Eragon knew that only death could stop Roran from trying to free her. And then he has to release the spell because he's beat after the day Eragon's had.
Yeah.
She's alive. Eragon knows where she's at, like Helgrind. Yeah, we've established that in the first book. That's their HQ.
Yep.
The answer to your question, brother, is yes. I will travel to Drasleona with you. I will help you rescue Katrina. And then, together, you and I shall kill the Razak and avenge our father. End of book 2. The story will continue in book 3 of Inheritance. Here we are.
Yep. And what a fucking end. That is such a good line.
Love that. We're back at it. We're back at it. Because the thing we were doing in the first book was we got to go find the Razak and kill them. We got to get revenge for Garo. And that kind of fell off the wayside. Other things came up.
Yeah.
We're back at it. We have the boys have unfinished business.
Yep. The boys have unfinished business.
They have unfinished business.
Yep.
I remember finishing this book, and then I had the whole box set sitting on my shelf originally. And for some reason, I have no excuse as to why, but it took me almost a full year to get back into the series and then start Brisingr. And luckily, no spoilers, but we get the action that we wanted very soon. And so I was upset with myself for not starting the book
Yeah.
immediately, because I didn't even read the little couple of pages that he put in at the beginning, or at the end of Eldest for the beginning of Bersinger.
Yeah.
But
Did you
yeah,
put that?
the beginning of Bersinger was very satisfying for
Well,
me.
I think if you had the trilogy, if the book said it would be there, because this copy has it too, but that's because the editions we have came out after the books came out. The original version of the book wouldn't have had that because Bersinger didn't come out for 3 years.
That was the big. I like the
Yeah,
version I
okay.
have. The
Mhm.
version I have does not have the next chapter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that, but it's a paperback version. But yeah, Eldest came out in August of 2005. I was in 6th grade at the time, but I didn't read these books until I was in 7th grade. So I read Eragon and Eldest back to back because my library had it.
Mhm.
But Bersinger didn't come out until September of 2008. 3 years later, I was in high school. I
Yeah.
remember raging to my friends, being so mad that where is the next book? Why hasn't Christopher Paolini put out the last book yet? Because
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this or are aware of this. At this point in time, it was set to be a trilogy.
Oh,
I do remember
shoot.
that Inheritance wasn't planned. I do
Yeah.
remember that.
I think while writing Bersinger, he realized he was going to need another book. And so I do think Bersinger was probably not originally, I think that last book, the 3rd book, was probably going to be titled Inheritance. And when he realized he was going to need another book, that's how we get Bersinger as the
That's
title.
how we got Bersinger. Yeah.
It's kind of a wild title in comparison with the rest of the titles, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we will discuss that later. But yeah, there was hey Diego, I just want you to know that middle school Darien is raging at you right now. You mean you could have just picked up Bersinger right then? You didn't have to wait 3 years to read the next book?
It was staring at me too, yeah.
I can't even
Oh
believe.
my gosh.
I can't even believe the audacity, the
The
betrayal.
audacity.
Meanwhile, I do think that is why I remember Eldest and Eragon so much better than I remember Bersinger and Inheritance, because in that 3-year wait, your girl was rereading the books over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And then I read Bersinger, and then I think I probably only read Bersinger once more when I did my big reread before Inheritance came out. But we'll talk all of that later. Do we have a writing takeaway?
I'm gonna say, okay, it might not connect at first, but I'll try to connect it. So when you're writing stuff like this section where you're having big battles, you're having reunions, you're having big twists and reveals that are emotionally weighted, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I would say there's still a stigmatism as, how would you say that?
A
Not
stigma?
a stigma. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was something around there. There's still
Nailed
a
it.
stigma around therapy, right? So I'm gonna say, go to therapy, learn how to learn how to navigate your emotions and your feelings, and then I would hope by that point, once you're able to navigate your own, you'd be able to write that and explain that a little bit better in your own writing.
Daniel, that's such good advice.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
No, yeah, I
probably,
never
yeah.
thought about that. Yeah. Writers should go to therapy.
Yeah.
Because everyone should go to therapy. It's good to talk about, it's good to take
Yeah.
care of your brain the same way we take care of our bodies. But also because it helps you have a stronger grasp on, those things. And you can turn that into having a stronger way of your characters engaging with the world and with trauma and with overwhelming situations. And hey, top tier, Diego. Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
I love that.
That's very good.
Do you
Thanks.
also have a fun quest we can send our listeners on?
Ooh, a quest.
A good quest?
Here we go. We'll combine it a little bit with my own podcast, Tears of Fire. What I do over there is, if you guys aren't familiar, the audience, we're reading Tears of Fire, which is the Last Dragon Chronicles, and
Diego's doing his pitch before I even
dragons.
have to tell him he's an expert, a professional.
Yes.
I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right,
No,
to
it's like
prompt
on
it.
point.
But they, in that series, there are these little clay dragons created by one of the characters, and these clay dragons are, I'm going to say, tailored to you, whether they're helping you with your abilities or talents. And then these dragons in Eragon are also very personal to you, And I would say color is a very big thing. Thorn is the same color as Zorok.
Mm-hmm.
Saphira is blue, as a sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
On the
so
opposite
with
end of
that,
the color spectrum to Thorn.
Yep.
yeah, exactly. And stop me if you guys have done something similar to this, but what I would say is, what kind of dragon would you guys have? What ability would your dragon have? Because in a lot of folklore, or not folklore, but just dragon lore, a lot of dragons have different abilities. There can
Yeah.
be ice dragons, there can be lightning dragons. What kind of dragon would yours be? Whether that's a big, powerful one that you're riding around, like an Eragon, or a tiny little clay dragon, like in the Last
Yeah.
Dragons Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
We might have asked something like this forever ago, but like honestly, I'm fine with revisiting it here at the end
Oh,
of
yeah,
book
for
2. We
sure.
probably got new listeners who didn't have a chance to
Yeah.
engage with that prompt before. Honestly, we might do the same thing at the end of Inheritance and Brisinger. Like,
There you go.
I think that's
Yeah.
great. It's a fun question. I don't think I'd want a big riding dragon just because that just feels like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
I have cats because I don't really want to be responsible for big dogs, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just different. So I would want, but I don't think I'd want a little clay dragon either. Like, as cute as they are, that's not the vibe. I would want a dragon like in the board game Flamecraft, where they're
Yes.
like smaller, cat but dragon,
Cat
but
size,
dragon.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's what I want. A little friend. I guess it depends. If the dragons are inherently very intelligent, it would just be like having Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch that just lives in your house.
Yes.
But if they're just like magical little guys, yeah, I think I'd love for a little cat dragon who's, if they had a special ability. Oh, knowing my cat, it would be the ability to walk through walls, because Eda Cat wants to get out and explore. She got out yesterday. Oh my god, I'm not going to cut this.
Really?
Everybody gets it. I'm going to shame my cat. So she's sleeping on the bed right now, y'all. She's, I'm talking about you. Aww. I pointed at her. I
saw her paw
She reached
stretch
her
out.
paw out and touched my hand. Okay. Yeah, I took the dog for a walk, and then I came inside. And because dog went on a walk, and then I took the harness off the dog, and I'm lying on the couch, and I'm scrolling down Instagram, and about like 30 minutes later, Cash is freaking out by the door, and I hear something pawing at the front door. Oh, is it my cat wanting out? No, it's my cat wanting in, because she somehow slunk out when I came in with the dog, and I didn't notice, and so she's just been having outdoor adventures. But then when she realized she couldn't get back in the house, she got all freaked out. So I opened the door, and she runs in all puffed up, her little tail. She's so upset. Did she learn anything? No. She tried to get out later when I took out the trash.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about you, Diego?
Yeah.
What kind of dragon would I have? Oh man. Well, I would say that the Last Dragon Chronicles got me into the fantasy, but then the Eragon, the inheritance cycle, is what really kept me here, because I was about the same age as Eragon when I was reading these. So I would go big dragon, and I think that I would go almost an iridescent purple color. Purple's always been my favorite, and I think just like a shiny that fades into a darker purple would be absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I think for me is I keep thinking of Danita K. Powell's, like the minor dragons in those, where they each have different abilities, and there is a purple minor dragon that is music related. Like, she can sing, she can like connect with people mentally and bring out like melodies that you haven't heard in years, that like brings out emotions and stuff like this, or memories of something important that you may have forgotten or need to remember at a certain moment or something. And I think having that would be just really cool, just having a little purple dragon, minor dragon, just humming along the day with me, offering encouragement when I need it and stuff. Maybe soothing me when my anxiety gets really bad. Like, that would be really cool.
My dragon would also be purple, because I'm also a purple girly like Diego.
I was like, I think like if we're going with favorite color, it'd be like Dibble in that series. He's like a comedic dragon. He's funny. He's yellow and orange. So like yellow and orange dragons are like funny, but I'm like, nah, I think I prefer the melody dragon, or whatever they call them.
Excellent. Well, Diego, thank you so much for joining us here at the end of our coverage of the Eldest.
Yes, thank you.
I can't believe you guys had me on for such an integral part of this series. I so much appreciate it. I had a blast, and
Diego, you
you
say
know,
that
if
like
you
we don't
guys,
love you. Like, what are you talking about? Of course we're going to let you on for integral parts of the series.
Absolutely.
You're great, and we love you.
Yes, absolutely.
that means so much. But with that being said, if you guys ever want me back, you just let me know, and I will cover any part of this series. Period.
Oh,
Absolutely. But in the meantime, where can our listeners find more of you?
Thank you. So, yeah, if you guys liked what I had to say and want to hear a little bit more, I cover a series that's not quite this age range. You're going to take a step down to, I would say, preteens. It's The Last Dragon Chronicles by Chris DeLazy, and I am Tears of Fire. You can find me anywhere that you find your podcast: Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I go over pretty similar, where we review a couple chapters at a time, talk about it, not necessarily page by page, but I'll have periodic guests on between Miss Kaylee, who was my spark of inspiration on here. She comes on for books reviews. You can find Darien and Lucy on there for quite a few episodes, as well as Mike Schubert from TNO. So if that's kind of up your guys' alley, I know that Darien has a mythology podcast as well. So, and I try to tie in those things in there too. So yeah, I appreciate it. Again, that's Tears of Fire, anywhere you guys get your podcasts.
Go follow Diego. Link to the Instagram is going to be in the show notes, so there's
Yes.
no excuse not to go check Diego out. If you liked
No
him here, you're going to
excuse.
love him in his show.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, while this ends our wrap of the chapters of Eldest, we aren't quite done. We're doing one more, our big recap episode that I think I called it the mailbag episode for Eragon.
Yep.
So if you have any thoughts about Eragon or Eldest, if you have never read these books before and you have predictions for what comes next, if you have memories of that the first time reading this, like, we would love to hear it.
Yes.
We have not recorded, obviously we haven't recorded that episode yet, and when you're listening to this, we haven't. We are going to wait for y'all to be able to hear this episode. You have until July 10th.
Yes.
To get us those thoughts, because Lucy and I will be recording that episode that following weekend. So if you want to share your thoughts about Eldest, Eragon, Inheritance, predictions for the future, please, no spoilers. We're still not going to do that quite yet. But if you haven't read it and have thoughts, or you remember what you thought was going to happen, absolutely get it to us before July the 10th, and we'd be more than happy to include it in the wrap-up episode.
Yes.
But
can't wait to hear
Diego?
from you. It's always really exciting.
Yeah, but thank you all again. Thank you, Diego.
Yes.
Until next time, he's Diego, she's Lucy Hart.
And she's Darien Smart, and he's Diego.
And this was Eragon.
And back again.
Have a safe flight out.
Aw,
Yay! I love that so much.